Chapter 1735. You said that no one can shake you, then I shall overthrow your heavenly way today, Hua. The instant Chu Hen's voice faded, a white wave of air that was as vast as a tide spread out in the air. Following that, several shadows of demons and gods that were like clones of darkness suddenly appeared around Chu Hen. The mysterious and powerful aura made people's hearts palpitate. The silhouette was exactly the same as Chu Hen's. Chaotic doppelganger. Star Emperor's pupils shrank, and he subconsciously shouted. It really is the chaotic divine body. Great Emperor Devouring was also shocked. A strong wind howled in the sky, and before anyone could react, the black doppelganger on both sides of Chu Hen flew out like lightning. The few chaotic doppelganger faced the battle souls of Emperor Bai, Great Emperor Demon Eye, Great Emperor Zhaohua, and the other experts. Sorry for the offense, seniors. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and a trace of coldness flashed across his eyes. Great Dao Seal, Blazing Star Chain. As soon as he finished speaking, the chaotic doppelganger's palms and arms were filled with thousands of dark ancient patterns. Along with the shocking rhythm of the space, a dark starlight spiral suddenly appeared under Emperor Bai, Great Emperor Demon Eye, and the other battle souls. The bright starlight spiral rose like a coiling dragon, imprisoning the battle souls within it. Then, the chaotic doppelgangers' 5 fingers clenched in the air, and a series of huala sounds were heard, and a blazing red chain appeared in each of the chaotic doppelgangers' palms. The blazing talisman light flickered, and the entire body of the chain was overflowing with spiritual patterns. In the next moment, under the control of the chaotic doppelganger, the red blazing star chain quickly wrapped around the battle souls of Emperor Bai, Great Emperor Demon Eye, Great Emperor Zhaohua, and the other experts like spiritual vines. Seal! Chu Hen shouted softly. In an instant, the ancient mysterious patterns that had spread out in all directions immediately converged back, forming strings of strange symbols that gathered between the eyebrows of the few fighting souls of the experts. A dazzling light flashed, and the experts' battle souls were immediately suppressed like the heart beasts that were imprisoned by the evil god. Looking at this scene, everyone was shocked. So powerful! Where did he go just now? What did he go through? I'm not sure. However, I do know that the most intense battle in the past 10,000 years is about to arrive. The Dominator's expression changed. It was as if the entire Six Paths world's battlefield was filled with an ancient and passionate war song. After 10,000 years of trials and tribulations, the Reincarnation Saint clan wanted to take over the heavenly Dharch token. Endless days and nights passed, and the primal chaos gods announced their return. This battle, it would definitely rewrite the history of the human race. This battle, it was also related to the fate of the 9 states. Hua! Chu Hen stood at the top of the sky and stared at the Reincarnation Emperor with his demonic eyes. As long as I, Primal Chaos, am alive, your heavenly Tao will be number 2, ha 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 ha. The Reincarnation Emperor laughed wantonly. Then, his laughter paused, and coldness overflowed like frost. Watch me cut your divine body with the heavenly tribulation sword. Come! Chu Hen clenched his 5 fingers in the air. Crack! A purple electric light that flickered with a dark aura suddenly blossomed from his palm. Humph! The Reincarnation Emperor sneered coldly. As you wish, Xiao. Shu! As soon as they finished speaking, the two of them unleashed a terrifying attack that was as powerful as a typhoon. Krong! The sky turned dark and hurricanes gathered. The Reincarnation Emperor released countless white light wings, and the heavenly tribulation sword in his hand was like a beam of divine light. Chu Hen's body was burning with a domineering black light, and purple lightning was flowing around him. One of them was like a nebulous storm. One of them was like a lightning pillar. This scene stunned everything in the world. The monarchs of the other races were reduced to the background. Boom! In an instant the two of them collided with each other, and it was a spectacular scene. It was like two vortexes of the Aurora galaxy colliding with each other. The aftermath of the berserk power was mixed with incomparably dazzling light and exploded in the sky. The dazzling halo lit up every corner of the heavenly Tao world. The powerful shock wave swept across the world. The white light vortex cut the lightning, and the sharp wind pillar shattered the shadow wings. The chaotic divine power that had been silent for 10,000 years, combined with the heavenly Thearchus combat soul, exploded and turned the world upside down. As soon as he made his move, there was such a huge commotion. Countless experts from both sides in the city quickly retreated. Except for a few sacred tribe monarchs standing at the edge, no one dared to stay. Even as the space shattered, Chu Hen and the Reincarnation Emperor retreated. It seems that your chaotic divine body has been fully activated, the Reincarnation Emperor said coldly. Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows raised slightly and a playful smile rose from the corner of his mouth. To you, this is not good news. As he spoke, Chu Hen's left palm stretched outwards. Tens of thousands of ancient Tao patterns converged into a rapid whirlpool of light that gathered in front of Chu Hen's palm. The power of the great Tao was at his fingertips. Swoosh, swoosh, the sound of the airflow being cut was pleasing to the ears. In an instant, a black flywheel light blade flickering with purple electric arcs was quietly formed. Ha! Chu Hen's aura stacked up as he fiercely swung his arm forward. With a whoosh sound, a crack appeared in the space. The black light whirlpool swept up a terrifying ring-shaped purple lightning wind pillar as it chopped towards the Reincarnation Emperor. As it moved, the range of the black light vortex expanded rapidly, and the wind pillar around it was even sharper than the sharp blade. Feeling the lethality of Chu Hen's attack, the Reincarnation Emperor's eyes narrowed, and he immediately took out the Heavenly Calamity Sword. Whoosh! The Heavenly Calamity Sword shone brightly, and the white sword patterns bloomed like light shadows. Bang! The sharp sword blade collided with the light blade that could cut through the wind and clouds, and thousands of light rays splashed out. The cutting force from the rotation of the black light vortex kept slashing down, as if it was going to break the Heavenly Calamity Sword. However, it was still the number 1 divine artifact on the list. Although the surrounding space had been torn apart, the Reincarnation Emperor's defense was impregnable. Human Tao, divine rebuke giant force. Break! The Reincarnation Emperor shouted coldly. The unparalleled sword momentum was like a surging thunder, and a circle of almost transparent grayish-white light expanded from the Reincarnation Emperor's body. With a boom sound, the destructive light vortex blade that was like a giant millstone exploded in the void. The wind blades that filled the sky danced wildly, and the gorgeous purple electric arcs splashed everywhere. The audience shook their heads secretly. The power of reincarnation and the sharpness of the Heavenly Calamity sword were simply too invincible. However, before the audience could react, a young figure carrying the Heavenly Punishment lightning pillar suddenly rushed down from the exploded black light vortex. That is, the audience was stunned. He was as fast as an aurora, and he lit up the lightning. Chu Hen cut through the aftermath of the chaotic storm and arrived in front of the Reincarnation Emperor. He raised one arm and closed his 5 fingers. The violent purple electric arcs intertwined on his fingertips, and the palm that had turned into an electric blade pierced towards the Reincarnation Emperor's throat. "Too slow, Your Majesty." His low voice was slightly flirtatious, but it made one's heartstrings tighten. The Reincarnation Emperor's pupils shrank slightly, but he was not in a hurry. Useless move. Then, the Heavenly Calamity sword in his palm moved forward, and the blade directly blocked in front of him. Chu Hen's attack did not stop at all. Accompanied by the cries of hundreds of millions of thunderbirds, Chu Hen's electric palm struck the middle of the Heavenly Calamity sword's blade. Boom! When the fingertip and the sword collided, the sound that erupted was comparable to thunder piercing the ears. Countless dazzling lightning pillars exploded in front of the Reincarnation Emperor, along with the sky that had collapsed and sunken in all directions. The powerful brilliance tore the wind and rain apart, and the explosive power concentrated on one point was all vented on the heavenly calamity sword. Under many incredulous gazes, the Reincarnation Emperor retreated, as if he had been hit by an enormous force. Oh my God! The Reincarnation Emperor was repelled. How is that possible? Shock filled the faces of countless people. Just now, the Reincarnation Emperor did not retreat even half a step when he fought against the 5 emperors. A tsunami-like aura pressed down. Looking at the Reincarnation Emperor who was retreating, Chu Hen took the opportunity to rise up and use tracing back. Blazing star chain. As he chased after Chu Hen made a grabbing motion in the air. As the black secret scroll swayed, a blazing red iron chain appeared out of nowhere. Then, Chu Hen shook the blazing star chain, and the iron chain swept out like an agile dragon python, entangling the Reincarnation Emperor's body and arm. Beautiful! Someone from the Sacred Clan Alliance exclaimed. The Reincarnation Emperor, who was entangled by the blazing star chain, was still falling. Chu Hen looked down at the Reincarnation Emperor. Li. The 9 stars in his purple eyes rotated, and 2 beams of light shot out of his eyes. Accompanied by a terrifying aura, the 2 beams of light emitted dazzling light, and then transformed into 9 murderous aurora arrows. The 9 heaven-piercing arrows flew in a straight line, aiming at the Reincarnation Emperor, who was restrained by the blazing star chain. However, there was not the slightest bit of panic in the Reincarnation Emperor's eyes as he faced the world-piercing arrows that were intertwined with the rapidly spinning wind. His pupils reflected the 9 rapidly approaching arrows as a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Li. Instantly, his golden left eye, which was glowing with a sacred aura, flashed, and the 9 stars in his pupil rotated. Hua! A circle of white light rippled between heaven and earth. Chu Hen felt his arm tighten, and he saw that his body was suddenly entangled by a blazing red ancient iron chain. How could this be? What was even more shocking was that the 9 flowing light arrows, which were accompanied by beautiful electric arcs, were rushing towards him in a swift and fierce manner. It's the eye technique of the divine eyes! The Star Emperor exclaimed. The other great emperor's expressions changed as well. Bai Qianyu's pretty face turned slightly pale. 9 star divine eyes, space swap. The Reincarnation Emperor used the power of the divine eyes to swap his and Chu Hen's positions. Even though Chu Hen realized what was happening in an instant, he was unable to dodge as he was trapped by the blazing star chain. Li. The 9 star demonic eyes shone brightly again, and the light screen moved, and a purple shield blocked in front of Chu Hen. However, the shield of punishment and the world-piercing arrows were 2 completely different levels of eye technique. It was only able to block the first 5 arrows before the purple canopy shield shattered into pieces, shattering into ice crystal fragments that filled the sky. Bang, 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 the remaining 4 arrows all struck Chu Hen's body. Following the shockwaves of the purple halo, a dazzling shower of sparks blossomed in front of Chu Hen's body. It's a pity that you're too different from the Heaven Emperor back then, the Reincarnation Emperor's reverberating voice pressed down like a storm. He, who had swapped positions with Chu Hen, looked down. Human Tao, Force Guide, Rumble. Then, an unparalleled, majestic magnetic force surged out from the ground below. The ground cracked inch by inch, and countless gravel and rocks of different sizes rose into the sky as if they had broken free from gravity. Under the control of the Reincarnation Emperor, the rocks that rose into the sky all gathered toward Chu Hen's position. Chu Hen! Go! The crowd shouted. Don't stay there! However, the large and small rocks that gathered from all directions were like a high wall cage. Layer upon layer, they directly buried Chu Hen within. The reverse airflow soared into the sky. The people present couldn't get close to him. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, a huge solid rock ball floated in midair. Although the surface of the ball was covered with dense cracks, there was no gap at all. "It's time to say goodbye." The Reincarnation Emperor held the heavenly calamity sword, which shone with divine light and was filled with killing intent. Azura Dao, soul-splitting. Chapter 1736. 1 second to remember, a wonderful pop-up window free reading. Azura Path, soul-splitting. In an instant, a divine radiance illuminated the sky, and a piercingly cold murderous aura filled the air. The heavenly calamity sword in the Reincarnation Emperor's hand suddenly released a particularly astonishing aura. Shortly after, the Reincarnation Emperor raised his sword and waved it. The heavenly calamity sword flickered with a gorgeous white light, instantly stunning the heavens and earth. Along with a formless gale and rain, the huge solid rock sphere that was wrapped around Chu Hen started to shake violently. Crack, then, the ear-piercing sound of the rock breaking rang out. Buzz! In the next instant, countless sharp and dazzling white light suddenly burst out from the center of the rock ball. Soul silence, body destruction, spirit destruction, the Reincarnation Emperor shouted in a stern voice. Along with the increasingly terrifying majestic aura, the sharp white sword light that broke through the rock ball blossomed like a holy light that pierced through the layers of clouds. The 9 heavens trembled, and the world lost its color. Under the horrified gazes of the heavenly law realm, the sword light that broke out from the inside forcefully minced the huge, solid rock ball into pieces. Chu Hen. The people of the Sacred Clan Alliance were shocked. Looking at the rock ball that instantly disintegrated, everyone felt that the area was completely devoured and torn apart by a piercingly cold aura. Amidst the chaotic airflow and dazzling light, Chu Hen's figure seemed to be submerged in it, and he instantly disappeared without a trace. Some people were horrified. Some people were uneasy. Some people sneered with a cold expression. "Humph, you're courting death." The Chaos Emperor, who was seriously injured and had fallen to the ground, said with a gloomy face, while holding his cracked chest. Buzz. However, before he could finish his sentence, a sudden airflow actually startled the Reincarnation Emperor. A dreamy distortion appeared in the void, and a ghostly figure quietly appeared. "Stealing someone's eye and putting it in your own eye socket, don't you feel disgusted?" A frivolous mocking voice entered the Reincarnation Emperor's ears. The latter frowned slightly. Swoosh! With a whistling sound, Chu Hen suddenly appeared behind the Reincarnation Emperor. What? Everyone from the Sacred Clan Alliance raised their eyebrows. On the other hand, the Six Paths World's experts' faces changed drastically. Looking from afar, he saw that Chu Hen was completely unharmed, and even his aura did not change much. How is that possible? The devouring Great Emperor squinted his eyes in confusion. After all, not only was Chu Hen restrained by the Reincarnation Emperor's power of humanity, but he was also restrained by his own blazing star chain. In a situation where he broke through 2 seals in a row, he was still able to safely avoid the attack of the Azura's power. How did he do it? "It's also the power of space," the 9th Nether Emperor said solemnly. Power of space? The great monarchs were stunned. Chu Hen also knows Baidi's God's Eye technique? Everyone was shocked and bewildered. However, if one were to observe carefully, one would notice that a wisp of divine golden markings faintly flowed within the depths of Chu Hen's devilish and charming violet pupils. However, because the purple light in the demon eye was dominant, the golden light wasn't particularly clear. The others might not know, but the 9th Nether Emperor knew that Bai Qianyu once gave one of Baidi's God's Eye to Chu Hen. Although he gave it to Mo Qingli later on, the power contained within the God's Eye was mostly absorbed by Chu Hen's chaotic body. This was also the reason why Chu Hen could barely use the power of space. There wasn't much time for everyone to recover from the shock. Above the 9 heavens, a storm was brewing. Chu Hen, who had suddenly appeared behind the Reincarnation Emperor, suddenly released a series of violent purple lightning that was like a horned dragon. Above and below the electric currents, there were also extremely domineering black flames. Two different colors of electric currents covered Chu Hen's arms, making his arm look like a sharp blade that could cut through the heaven and earth's godly power. Crack, the rapid and sharp lightning blade drew a string of dazzling purple-black flames in the void, and then it went straight for the Reincarnation Emperor's head. The Reincarnation Emperor leaned to the side and raised one of his arms to block the attack. Bang! A heavy force exploded in the heaven and earth. It seemed like an ordinary attack and defense, but in fact it was comparable to the collision of lightning and the collision of meteorite. Amidst the bursting thunder and lightning, the Reincarnation Emperor seemed to be hit by the boundless power of heaven's punishment, and his entire body drew a diagonal line in the air, falling towards Tiandao City below. What a powerful force! Everyone's eyes widened. Boom! The Reincarnation Emperor smashed heavily into the ground of the city like a cannonball. The aftermath of the mighty waves swept across the ground in all directions. Densely packed cracks extended out. However, before the Reincarnation Emperor could stabilize himself, an even more violent force spread in the void. That is, the hearts of everyone in the Tiandao world trembled. They saw Chu Hen standing proudly in the sky with one palm facing Tiandao City below. He opened his 5 fingers, and countless ancient and dark mysterious patterns converged and flowed in his palm. The invisible Emperor's aura swept across the heaven and earth, and Chu Hen released the peerless dominance of the universe. Chaos, fission. As soon as he said that, an unparalleled shock pierced through everyone's eardrums. Bang! Rumble! In an instant, with the Reincarnation Emperor as the center, the ground in all directions exploded like a tsunami. Tiandao City disintegrated on a large scale. The ground collapsed rapidly, inch by inch and layer by layer. A circle of violent and ferocious black halos swept across the ground in all directions, and wherever it went, it was like a giant crater formed by the impact of a meteorite. It expanded infinitely, and wherever it went, it crushed everything. Looking at the Tiandao City that was continuously expanding into ruins, the expressions of everyone outside the Tiandao City changed again and again. The furious airflow was comparable to a typhoon, and it invaded the entire Tiandao world. The terrifying power of the Earth explosion engulfed the Reincarnation Emperor, and an even more shocking aura followed. Rumble, thunderclouds and storms gathered, and a dark cyclone enveloped the area. Dust flew everywhere, and rocks flew into the sky. Beams of strong black light broke through the ground like thorny vines, and it was as if the mountains and rivers had been torn apart, and the dried-up black lightning had been revived. Clang! In an instant, the huge Tiandao City was instantly occupied by the bright light of the dark thorny vines. The light of the thorny vines connected the 9 heavens, and it sealed the ground, turning the battlefield where the Reincarnation Emperor and Chu Hen were at into a divine punishment domain that even gods and demons couldn't enter. This is not a duel, but a punishment. Chu Hen's voice was powerful and deafening, and it made everyone's blood boil. Boom! The cold wind roared, and in an instant, thousands of light whirlpools quietly flashed in the void. Countless light whirlpools merged with each other, and they connected with the lightning and wind pillars. Under the strong rhythm of the power, they condensed into extremely sharp blades of light. Oh my God! This aura? Sensing the increasingly violent aura of destruction in that area, everyone's faces were filled with deep fear. Even Xingchen, the Devourer Emperor, the Desolation Emperor, and the other great emperors were deeply afraid. Buzz, in the blink of an eye, the sky above Tiandao City was filled with dozens of black blades of light that looked like cosmic vortexes. Each of the black blades of light was flowing with terrifying lightning and wind pillars, and the space was greatly distorted and shattered. Thousands of strands of spatial turbulence could be seen clearly. Just a moment ago, A single starlight blade had slashed the Chaos Heavenly Emperor into the sky, taking away half of his life. Now, with so many attacks concentrated together, how could the Reincarnation Emperor block them? Your heavenly law is about to fall. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a cold light. Accompanied by a terrifying aura that seemed to make heaven and earth collapse, dozens of lightning whirlpools containing the power of divine punishment pierced through the sky and slashed at the Reincarnation Emperor. Every black whirlpool wind blade contained a world-destroying divine might that could destroy heaven and earth. Heaven and earth split, and the wind and clouds lost their colors. Even the Lord of the God-forbidden blood prison, the evil god, narrowed his eyes. It seems a little difficult to block. Roar! Suddenly, at this moment, a ferocious creature's roar that made everyone's scalp numb resounded in the area where the Reincarnation Emperor was. Rocks exploded, and the wind howled angrily. My heavenly law will never fall. Beast Tao, dead beasts vanish. 6 paths of reincarnation, the power of Beast Tao. Dead beasts vanish. The powerful move that Yu Shinin had once displayed at the Sacred Clan Conference reappeared, but there was no comparison between the two. Roar, fury, ferocious, berserk. The monstrous power of the beast exploded in all directions like a mountain torrent. Hundreds of millions of rocks danced in the air, and a ferocious monster with a huge body and a long skeleton suddenly broke through the shackles and appeared in Tiandao City. It was a terrifying form, and it was exceptionally furious. Its ferocious head was like a zombie dragon. Then, the Reaper beast that the Reincarnation Emperor had turned into raised its head and opened its mouth. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth, and a terrifying power surged out. Nether Dao, dead souls flow. 1. The space trembled, and a dazzling white aurora shot out from the Reaper beast's mouth. For example, the universe divine light that traced back to the sun and moon. The white light pillar swept up endless storms and blasted towards the black starry light blades. Purring! Bang! The piercing light pillar of death was like a heavenly ray that pierced through the galaxy. Wherever it passed, one after another, the huge starry light blades pierced through it, slicing it into pieces. Deafening heavy explosions unceasingly shook the heaven and earth. Dazzling light scattered in all directions, and wind blades danced chaotically. The death god beast's mouth continuously spat out fatal light pillars, which clashed with Chu Hen's attack. At this moment, it was as if a nebula had exploded in the sky above Heavenly Law City. One after another, the vast and mighty remnant halos shook everyone's optic nerves. The 6 paths world trembled violently. Everyone's heart seemed to have stopped beating. The horrifying scene was comparable to the explosion of the galaxy. Roar! The chaotic Tiandao city had collapsed from all directions, and not a single building in the city was left intact. The Reaper beast that the Reincarnation Emperor had turned into stomped on the ground with its 4 claws, and a ferocious aura burst out from the storm. You should be glad that my carelessness allowed you to live a little longer. Rage. Killing intent. The Reincarnation Emperor was enraged. Thousands of ruthless murderous auras, like tornadoes and hurricanes, circled around the opponent's malevolent body and furiously attacked Chu Hen. However, Chu Hen did not have any intention of defending against the bloody wind and baleful aura that surged towards him. A cold glint flashed across his eyes as he swooped down and charged towards the death god beast. However, in the process of Chu Hen moving, countless purple tassel lights quickly enveloped and intertwined around his body like swimming dragons and lightning. Demonic Spirit Void. The power of the 9-star monster eyes was unleashed without reservation. With Chu Hen as the center, a Nirvana demon spirit that looked like an ancient war god appeared in everyone's vision. Just when everyone was wondering if the demonic spirit void could stop the dead beast void, an ancient and domineering black light whirlpool burst out from the Nirvana demon spirit's body. Chaos Void. What? Everyone's heart skipped a beat. They were all dumbfounded. In an instant, the thick black light patterns intertwined around the Nirvana demon spirit's body like mysterious thorny vines, forming an even more domineering black light shadow armor. Hua! A pair of black shadow wings spread out from the Nirvana demon spirit's back. At this moment, everyone in the room could feel a terrifying aura pressing down on them. Your carelessness is coming to an end. Chu Hen dragged the lightning behind him, and the wrath of wind and cloud swooped down. The reincarnation monarch's monstrous aura surged upwards. The peerless aura from the two caused the entire heavenly Tao world to fall into an unprecedented state of unease. Boom! Bang! The aurora intertwined, and it was comparable to the intertwining of stars. The power of reincarnation and the chaos aura were like two meteorites that met by chance. Above the sky, it was as if doomsday was coming. The blinding light of the heavenly awakening lit up every corner of the Six Paths world. Roar! The violent auras pressed against each other, crushing a series of space around them. The reincarnation monarch let out a roar, and the dead beast that he turned into spurted out a beam of eye-catching white light. Xiao! And in the middle of the white light, an extremely sharp divine sword suddenly flew out. Be careful, it's the Heaven Calamity sword. Star Monarch couldn't help but shout. The sword shadow formed by the Heaven Calamity sword was extremely fast, and the white light shadow tore through the void and directly arrived in front of Chu Hen. But at the same time, the Nirvana demon spirit that Chu Hen turned into had endless chaos divine power in one arm, and countless ancient dark secret scrolls flowed into his right palm. 1. A ball of light that looked like a sunspot rose up from his palm, and it burst out with blinding light. Chaos Heaven Palm. Bang! Glowing with a mysterious radiance, the black energy body bombarded the incoming heavenly tribulation sword with a force that could shatter the heavens. As soon as the white light blade and the black light source energy body collided, the sky exploded. The world lost its color, and everything, including the mountains, rivers, and earth, became dark and gloomy. In the countless eyes that were filled with fear, it was as if a hurricane had erupted between the Nirvana demon spirit and the grim Reaper beast. The ring-shaped shockwave directly shattered the clouds, cracked the sky, and shocked everyone's visual nerve. Chu Hen and the reincarnation monarch were like two ancient gods that struck fear into the hearts of the people. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have thought that there was such a destructive power in the world. Bang! The destructive storm spread out and filled up the entire Six Paths world. Under the fearful gazes of the people, the grim Reaper beast formed by the reincarnation monarch and the Nirvana demon spirit formed by Chu Hen were like the sun and the moon, dominating the day and night. Zing! Suddenly, right at this moment, another piercingly cold and fierce sound of a sharp weapon shook everyone's eardrums. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Purple rays gathered in the Nirvana demon spirit's palm, and spiritual patterns circled around it, forming a purple halberd in his hand. The life-killing halberd. Monarch Monster Eye's divine weapon. The crowd was shocked. Before the crowd could react, the Nirvana demon spirit formed by Chu Hen opened his arms, and the life-killing halberd in his hand burst out thousands of purple rays. Punishment is coming. As long as I, Chaos, am here, you will be reincarnated. Quang Dang. Along with the thunderous sound, the Nirvana demon spirit threw the life-killing halberd in his hand out. Crack! The dimension was torn apart, and the huge life-killing halberd was like a heavenly pillar that pierced through the sky, sweeping up a destructive force as it rushed towards the grim Reaper beast. The grim Reaper beast's eyes shrunk to the extreme. He didn't even have the time to cast any kind of eye technique or power, and the 10,000 feet long life-killing halberd pierced right into the grim Reaper beast's mouth. Bang! The terrifying halberd blade intertwined with purple electric arcs, pierced through the back of the grim Reaper beast's neck, and came out from its back. The terrifying impact of the unstoppable hell forcefully dragged the huge body of the grim Reaper beast downward. Boom! Numerous violent explosions shook the heavens and earth. The Grim Reaper beast that the Reincarnation Emperor had transformed into was firmly nailed to the ground of Tiandao City by the life-slaying halberd. Chapter 1737. 1 Second to Remember. Wonderful pop-up window free reading. Boom, thunder and lightning interweaved, and heavenly radiance pierced through the world. The entire natural Tao world was in an unprecedented uproar. Under countless shocked gazes, the life-slaying divine halberd pierced through the back of the Grim Reaper's neck like a divine punishment connecting the 9 heavens. Countless dazzling lightning bolts pierced through the back of the Grim Reaper beast like mad dragons. Hiss, the earth split open and the fault spread. The death god beast that the Reincarnation Emperor had transformed into was pinned to the ground by the lightning-fast life-slaying divine halberd. Oh my God! How could this be? The scene in front of them almost shocked everyone's eyes out of their sockets. The almost invincible Reincarnation Emperor was once again mercilessly struck to the ground. Be it the Sacred Race Alliance's side or the Six Paths World's side, everyone's heart was stretched taut and their expressions were extremely solemn. At this moment, no one's heart could calm down. Whoosh! Without waiting for the crowd to relax, the life-killing halberd that had pierced through the Grim Reaper beast's neck exploded with thousands of strange black lights. Black secret scrolls that looked like ancient incantations extended out from the life-slaying halberd, covering the ground of Tiandao City like spiritual vines. In the void of the 9 heavens, Chu Hen, who had transformed into the Nirvana demon spirit, had a pair of black shadow wings that covered the sky and the sun. His extraordinary aura was like that of an ancient god of war. He stretched out a single palm, his 5 fingers reaching for the life-killing halberd below. Primal chaos, absolute breath. Boom! The ground of Tiandao City, which was already in ruins, instantly caved in and formed a huge crater. Shatter. Explode. Everything collapsed. A black storm of destruction that covered the heavens and the earth spread out like a violent whirlpool. Wherever it went, the heavens and the earth split apart and the universe split apart. The vast and mighty shockwave spread out like an exploding nebula. At this moment, the entire heavenly law city was razed to the ground. Bang! Boom! The wind and clouds were chaotic, and the 9 heavens were split apart. The heavenly law city, which looked like a heavenly palace, was reduced to ruins in the blink of an eye under the fearful gazes of countless people. The sky-spanning bridge, the stargazing pavilion, the sky-propping fortress, and all the other magnificent buildings vanished into thin air in this chaotic storm. The terrifying destructive power shocked all the human demons and demonic beasts, and all the great sovereigns retreated. As for those Yimo, demonic beasts and human race experts who did not manage to retreat in time or were at the edge of Heavenly Law City, they were sent flying as if they had encountered a tornado. Isn't this power a little too terrifying? A divine body is still a divine body. When it awakens, even the 10 strongest sacred clans can only bow their heads in submission. Mu Fei, Yen Fushu, Li Wushang, and the others felt the terror of that ancient power as they looked at the chaotic Tiandao City. Screech! Right at this moment, a ferocious and enormous beast covered in thorns charged into the chaotic windstorm that enveloped the heavens and earth. It was the zombie goddess. Everyone was shocked. The Reincarnation Saint Clan's heart beast corpse goddess let out an ear-piercing shriek. Its enormous bony hand quickly reached for the destruction demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into. At the same time, countless sharp bone spikes shot out from its palm. Thousands of bone spikes were like bamboo that were tied together, forming a huge cylindrical pillar that pierced towards the destruction demon spirit's back. Chu Hen, behind you! Monster Sovereign Yi Kong, who had been injured by the zombie goddess, hurriedly warned. As the leader of the 10 heart beasts, the zombie goddess's power was not to be underestimated. The cold wind was pouring down, and the sharp cylindrical pillar that was formed by billions of bone spurs was exceptionally fierce and frightening. However, the destruction demon spirit that Chu Hen had transformed into didn't even show any signs of turning around in the face of the powerful attack that was coming at it from behind. Boom, however, just as the zombie goddess's attack was about to touch the destruction demon spirit, a black whirlwind blade sliced across the sky like a divine wheel. Along with the wind pillar, the huge whirlwind blade sliced off one of the zombie goddess's arms. What? The sudden scene caused everyone present to stare with their eyes wide open. Especially the reincarnation Saint Clan's members from the Six Paths world, their faces turned even paler. The zombie goddess's arm was sliced off and the huge bone spikes that shot out from her palm were also blasted away. Amidst the shock, everyone subconsciously looked towards the direction where the black whirlwind blade came from. In the midst of the chaotic windstorm, there was a black figure that looked like a demon god that was emitting a godly aura that ruled over the universe. The ring-shaped wind pillar light lingered around the arm of the black demonic god's shadow like mist. The distinct outline of the body was just like Chu Hen's demonic shadow clone. Shock, fear filled the faces of everyone in the Six Paths world. The reincarnation Saint Clan, Hunwang Saint Clan, and Dragon Blood Saint Clan were completely panicking. The heavily injured Hunwang Saint Monarch and the Dragon Blood Saint Monarch, who was lying in the mountain ruins, were all terrified. After tens of thousands of years of silence, the power that once dominated the 10 races had returned. In the crater that looked like a giant meteor, the Grim Reaper beast's huge body was crushed by the domineering chaos divine power. Beside the life-killing halberd, the reincarnation monarch's silhouette gradually entered everyone's sight. When they saw each other's appearance, everyone's pupils constricted again and again. The reincarnation monarch's robe was torn in many places, and blood was dripping from his arm. Even though he was standing on the ground, his aura was completely suppressed by Chu Hen. Universe God Guji lost. Star Monarch, Abyss Monarch, Devouring Monarch, and the others were all in disbelief. They couldn't even believe it. Universe God Guji of the Samsara Saint tribe. He was a peak existence who possessed great authority. Just a moment ago, the combined strength of 5 martial emperors was unable to shake the other party's heavenly Tao. But now Chu Hen was able to suppress him by himself. You lost. The Nirvana demon spirit that Chu Hen turned into looked down at the reincarnation monarch. I will be the judge for your sins. Judge? The reincarnation monarch suddenly laughed. Ha 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 ha. His laughter was filled with mockery. His laughter was filled with madness. His laughter was even ferocious. No one can judge me, Universe God Guji. Not just you, even if the heavenly monarch comes back to life. He doesn't have the right to. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Then, the reincarnation monarch stared at the God-forbidden blood prison's master, the evil god. Lend me your power. As soon as he said this, everyone's heart couldn't help but shudder. Uneasy gazes fell on the evil god. Even though the evil god didn't actively intervene in the fierce battle between the 10 clans from the beginning, his existence was like a mountain floating above everyone's head. The evil god laughed, the corner of his mouth raised with a hint of playfulness. If you want to beg me, you need to give me the same conditions. I'll promise you anything. The reincarnation monarch said without hesitation. This battle, to him, he couldn't lose, even if he asked for help from the demons. Crazy, he's simply crazy. The Great Star Emperor was shocked and angry. Universe God Guji, if you still think of yourself as a human, then stop. Stop? Ha 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 ha. The reincarnation monarch laughed even more sinisterly. I, Universe God Guji, have never been defeated. Today I want all of you to die. Then, he said to the evil god again, help me. The evil god slightly raised the blood-colored giant scythe in his hand and said, my evil god demonic blade hasn't been tempered with blood for 10,000 years and isn't as sharp as before. I need someone to sharpen it again. That's simple. The reincarnation monarch's eyes flickered with a cold light. As he spoke, he pointed his palm in the direction of the dragonblood monarch. Asterisk buzz, asterisk in an instant, a formless and powerful gravitational force exploded between heaven and earth. Then, the dragonblood monarch, who had transformed into a primordial dragon but was heavily injured, rose from the rubble. The dragonblood monarch panicked. His massive dragon wings violently struggled and his vertical pupils were filled with fear. "What are you doing?" the great Star Emperor roared. "Universe God Guji, stop!" The Nine Nether monarch raged. However, Universe God Guji sneered with a heartless face. Then, an intense rhythm burst out from his arm, and the powerful pushing force directly flung the Dragonblood Emperor towards the evil god's location. "Here!" the reincarnation monarch roared. "Ha ha ha ha!" The evil god laughed arrogantly. At the same time, he quietly waved the blood-colored giant scythe in his hand, sending boundless chilling killing intent towards the primordial dragon. The Dragonblood monarch was terrified. "No, Chi!" Along with a short scream, a blood-colored crescent blade tore through the heavens and the Dragonblood monarch's massive dragon body was split apart by the evil god's scythe. Blood splashed across the 9 heavens. The dragon's soul wailed in the 6 Paths world. Looking at the dismembered primordial dragon, the entire 6 Paths world's battlefield fell into a state of shock. The faces of Xing Chen, Devourer, 9 Nether, Fun Tian, Desolate Monarch, and the Ice Monarch all turned pale. Even the Chaos Monarch was shocked. "Monarch!" The Dragonblood Saint Clan's members were filled with grief. They were at a loss as if their souls had been shattered. No one could have imagined that the Dragonblood monarch, one of the 10 monarchs, would end his life in such a cruel way. At this moment, the Dragonblood monarch had fallen. Wah! Ha! The evil god's demonic blade drank the dragon's blood. A frigid wind blew and a torrential murderous aura entered the 6 Paths world. The demonic scythe in the evil god's hand flowed with ancient and dark secret scriptures. Crimson light filled the skies and an unprecedented demonic aura invaded the 6 Paths world. In the blink of an eye, a blood-colored storm gathered above the 6 Paths world. Jia! The evil god laughed sinisterly and stared at the reincarnation monarch with his abyss-like eyes. "You are more ruthless than a demon. You are qualified to receive my power." Chapter 1738. The demonic blade drank blood, and the dragon's soul perished. The 6 Paths world was about to experience a drastic change that had never happened before. Blood-colored murderous aura filled the skies and a thick demonic mist started to envelop the entire 6 Paths world. Demons roared and shadows covered the skies. The demonic scythe in the evil god's hand was flowing with ancient runes and symbols. Jai! A sharp demonic howl pierced through the skies and shattered everyone's eardrums. "Ha ha ha ha! You are even more ruthless than the demons. You are qualified." As soon as he finished, the evil god leaped into the air and charged towards Reincarnation Monarch with a terrifying blood-colored storm. Krong! The world dimmed and the world was flipped upside down. The murderous aura was like a blood-colored net that covered the entire heavenly Tao world. Reincarnation Monarch stood under the blood-colored storm with his arms wide open, absorbing the murderous aura from all directions. Wung! In all directions, countless majestic blood-colored pillars were like rivers flowing into the sea, or like ancient underground rivers that were buried deep underground. "Come! My heavenly Tao is unbreakable." Reincarnation Monarch unleashed a peerless aura. Ha 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 ha! The evil god's sinister laughter continuously stimulated the fragile nerves of the crowd. The other party flashed above the Reincarnation Emperor's head. The gigantic demonic body that was like a mountain turned illusory, and soon after, like demonic fog, it gathered behind the Reincarnation Emperor. "The source of great misfortune, the lord of all evil, you are the most evil, I am Chi Tian." Ha 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 ha! The surging demonic aura soared into the sky and instantly dyed the entire world red. Reincarnation Monarch's body quickly merged with the evil god. One after another, blood-colored pillars shot out from beneath Reincarnation Monarch's feet and pierced through the skies. Under countless shocked gazes, the Reincarnation Emperor's aura increased exponentially. His uncontrollable aura was like a tsunami that broke through the sky. "This is bad." Heavenly Mystery Palace Master Mu Fei frowned. His expression had never been this serious before. Yan Fushu, Li Wushang, Long Qingyang, Mu Feng, and the others were also nervous. "Is he going to become a demon?" Mu Feng asked in a deep voice. "No, it's even more terrifying than becoming a demon," replied Li Wushang. "To what extent?" There was a short silence. Li Wushang muttered gravely. "He will surpass the former Celestial Emperor, surpassing the former Celestial Emperor." Even though the Reincarnation Emperor had boasted that he had surpassed the Heavenly Emperor before this, that was only what he thought. However, at this moment, the aura from the Reincarnation Emperor seemed to have surpassed the limits of the human race. Buzz! A strong and mighty wind spread out in a spiral shape. When all the blood mist that the evil god had transformed into surged into the Reincarnation Emperor's body, a world-destroying might spread out in all directions. The Reincarnation Emperor's long hair scattered and turned white. A demonic and evil aura kept gushing out of his body, and a blood-colored demonic pattern that looked like a vine appeared on the left side of his face. Even his left eye had turned as black as ink, with not a single scare visible. How do you feel?" The eerie phantom stacked up around the Reincarnation Emperor, and the evil god's voice came out of his throat. The Reincarnation Emperor twisted his neck, and a ferocious smile appeared on his face. "I've never felt so good, roar!" The moment he finished speaking, a shocking blood-colored pillar pierced through the sky. The eerie phantom that filled the sky was like a dark crow, and it revolved around the Reincarnation Emperor wantonly. Roar! A piercing howl shook the heavens, and an enormous blood-colored demonic shadow appeared between heaven and earth like a god of death. Every inch of the Reincarnation Emperor's flesh and blood was filled with killing intent, and every bit of his aura was filled with greed. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness and evil. "My heavenly Tao is the strongest." The piercingly cold astral wind howled out like millions of whirlwind blades, and a terrifying aura pressed down on Chu Hen, who had transformed into a destructive demon spirit in the sky. The all-encompassing whirlwind phantom attacked from all directions, and the destructive demon spirit's enormous body shattered into fragments and light like an exploding ice crystal. Chu Hen's figure was once again exposed to the blood mist that covered the sky. What a terrifying power! Everyone in the Six Paths world panicked as they felt the Reincarnation Emperor's growing aura. Even the Reincarnation Saint Clan's members were filled with shock and complicated emotions. This was the first time they felt that the Reincarnation Emperor was this terrifying. The Reincarnation Emperor had no humanity at all. The expressions of the Saint Clan's monarchs changed again and again. "He's too strong. He has surpassed the heavenly monarch level. Calamity! A true calamity!" Looking at the Reincarnation Emperor who had merged with the evil god, the monarchs could already see the scene of blood flowing for thousands of miles, and the wailing of the living. Unwillingness. Indignation. The entire human realm would be buried in the hands of the Reincarnation Monarch. However, it was at this moment, a domineering aura surged out from Chu Hen. The monarch's hearts skipped a beat. "Monarchs, please lend me a hand." An impassioned voice reverberated in the air, and Chu Hen stood in the air, casting down an ancient black charm. 1. The mysterious talismans spread out in the sky, and then interweaved into a magnificent large talisman array like a strange burning star chain. The exterior of the charm array was a circle. In the middle was a star, and in the center was the Tai Chi Yin and Yang. "It's the Tao Divine Array," Star Monarch exclaimed. Then, the monarchs looked at each other and saw the determination in each other's eyes. Yes. Without any hesitation, the monarchs nodded solemnly and channeled their bloodline power into the array. Chu-Hen, it's all up to you now. Star Monarch, Abysmal Monarch, Devouring Monarch, Burning Monarch, Desolate Monarch, and Ice Monarch's bodies suddenly burst out a majestic energy pillar. A dazzling starlight pillar. A moonlight pillar that was as pure as jade. A devouring light pillar that was dark and gloomy. A blazing and domineering flame pillar. A dark and brown desolate source light pillar. It was a cold and crystal clear light pillar. 6 majestic energy light pillars that contained the majestic bloodline power of the sacred physique shot towards Chu-Hen from different directions. 1. In an instant, the 9 heavens wind howled and the sky cracked. The divine matrix of the great path under Chu-Hen's body spun rapidly. Countless ancient thorny vine-like light patterns circled around Chu-Hen's body like a coiling dragon python. 1. Bang! The 6 majestic energy light pillars were immediately injected into the outer circle of the Tao Divine Array. Then, they flowed into Chu-Hen's body along the high-speed rotating charm array. I'm here to help you. Demon Monarch Chi Kong let out a domineering roar. Immediately, an unparalleled monstrous demonic power gushed out from his body. The incomparably powerful demonic power fused into a blue light pillar that pierced through the sky and into the Tao Divine Array. Rumble. The wind and clouds rose and the sky changed. The blood-red sky of the heavenly Tao realm was like a rainbow piercing through the sky. Chu-Hen seemed to be wrapped in a layer of dazzling divine rainbow light. The chaotic divine body is compatible with all kinds of powers. 3,000 great Daos, who can compete with me in an instant. The aura field between Chu-Hen and Reincarnation Emperor was like the collision of 2 shocking mountain torrents. The sky and the ground collapsed rapidly. Chu-Hen's eyes flashed with the extraordinary power of an emperor. He shouted again, "Fellow cultivators, please help me, Chu-Hen, break the heavenly law of reincarnation. All right. For the sake of the human clan, for the sake of the injustice of reincarnation, we are willing to serve you. Break the reincarnation, slay the evil." In an instant, countless experts of the various clans in the heavenly law realm released their bloodline power. "Chu-Hen, it's up to you now," Yen Fushu roared. The bloodline power of his chaotic body gathered into a powerful black pillar of energy that fused into the divine formation of the Great Path. "Chu-Hen, you have never disappointed me before, and this time is no exception." Mu Feng let out a sharp howl as his powerful demonic power turned into a red light pillar that shot into the sky. "Third brother, we will always be behind you. Big brother Chu-Hen, you can do it." Whoosh! Whoosh! At that moment, the sky was turning upside down, and the 9 heavens were shaking. Countless energy pillars shot through the sky like an aurora rainstorm. Long Qingyang Yiyao, Long Xuanshuang, Mo Qingli, Li Wushang, and the others all gave their all. Countless warriors from the Star Sacred Tribe, the Abyss Sacred Tribe, the Great Wilderness Sacred Tribe, the Sky Burning Sacred Tribe, the Holy-Eyed Sacred Tribe, the Devouring Sacred Tribe, the Demon Eye Sacred Tribe, the Storm Sacred Tribe, the Beast Taming Sacred Tribe, the Rock Sacred Tribe, and the 5 Elements Sacred Tribe all channeled their power into the Tao Divine Array. The chaos of the 9 states, the calamity of the world, the light source that blotted out the sky and covered the earth was like the billions of rays of light that traced back to the brightest stars in the vast universe. Chu-Hen was like a star with a huge gravitational force, attracting countless celestial bodies in the surroundings. If the reincarnation heavenly emperor was said to have the power of all rivers flowing into the sea, then Chu-Hen was like a black hole that completely absorbed the power of everyone behind him. "Chu-Hen, no matter how difficult it is, I will always be here." Bai Qianyu's eyes were soft like water, and a drop of ink seemed to have bloomed in her holy eyes. Screech! The power of the divine eye was released without any reservation, and gathered towards Chu Hen's location. The storm of doomsday descended upon the Six Paths world. Countless battlefields merged into one. Mountains and rivers were turned upside down, and the desolation city was disintegrated. Rocks and rocks flew into the sky along with the destructive storm. Reincarnation Monarch and Chu Hen's auras clashed against each other, and the blood-colored storm and the bright light source intertwined like two divine canopies. "You can't win against me!" Reincarnation Monarch roared with a hideous expression. The demonic shadow of the death god behind him unleashed a destructive aura. One. As soon as he finished speaking, another powerful energy beam surged into the Tao array beneath Chu Hen. The bloodline power contained in this energy beam was no weaker than that of Star Monarch and the others. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The owner of this energy beam was actually Primeval Monarch. This guy? How? Star Monarch, Devouring Monarch, and the others were shocked. Meanwhile, Reincarnation Monarch's eyes were filled with ferocity as he shouted, "You dare to betray me?" Hee. Primeval Monarch laughed mockingly and self-deprecatingly. "Universe God Guji, I can accept that you killed Heavenly Monarch, and I can accept that you are in cahoots with the demons, but I can't accept that you would kill your own comrades. A general success is built on the bones of thousands, so what if a few people die?" That's right. So what if a few people die? In your eyes, the Dragonblood Emperor and I are nothing more than pawns. You can use them if you need them, but if you don't, you can discard them. To think that we treated you as brothers, but we didn't expect that our lives are no different from ants to you. With that, Primeval Monarch's eyes flashed with determination. He looked up at the sky and said, "I know that my sins are grave. Even if I die in the heavenly Tao realm today, I am willing to die as the Emperor of the human race, and not as an associate of the demons, Emperor of the human race. Associate of the demons." When the Dragonblood Emperor was mercilessly abandoned, Primeval Monarch's heart was like dead ashes. He was not simply disappointed in Reincarnation Monarch. At this moment, the power of Star Monarch, 9 underworlds, Desolation, Devouring Monarch, Divine Eye, Fun Tian, and the 10 strongest bloodlines of Primeval Monarch were all injected into Chu Hen's body. He also had the bloodline of the Ice Empress and the power of the Monster Emperors, who were not any weaker than the strongest bloodlines. Countless light patterns bloomed on Chu Hen's body. The light wings were like huge chains that extended into the sky, sealing off the 9 heavens. "You're courting death." At the same time, Reincarnation Monarch's aura reached its peak, and his entire body was filled with murderous intent. "All of you must die." Heavenly Tao Doomsday Collapse. Rumble, in an instant, an unprecedented terrifying aura exploded between heaven and earth. Countless extremely violent red light vines tore through the space, piercing through the earth. With Reincarnation Monarch as the center, a terrifying spatial devouring hole directly expanded outwards. Bang! Boom! Collapse! Collapse! Tiandao City started to collapse rapidly. The destructive devouring hole storm devoured everything around it, and the distorted space shattered inch by inch. The sky was like a broken mirror. The earth was like a collapsed abyss. Chaotic darkness instantly destroyed the entire Tiandao City. Everyone was shocked. Their faces changed drastically. This power could really be said to be able to destroy the world. "Let me see how strong your chaotic divine body is." Then, Reincarnation Monarch turned into a pillar of blood that pierced through the sky, shooting towards the 9 heavens. "I will personally shatter your god body like this chaotic world. Before that, I will definitely destroy your heavenly Tao." As his words fell, a series of chi patterns that were as vast as the tide covered the sky and earth. The great Tao Divine array below Chu Hen directly blossomed with a large expanse of gorgeous light wings. Carrying the power of the experts of the sacred clans and the shocking bloodline power of the great emperors, Chu Hen was like a god of war as he pursued the tens of thousands of light vortexes. 2 light beams shot towards the heavenly river, shattering the sky, and furiously stirring up the wind and clouds of the 9 prefectures. The divine might intertwined with each other. This battle, this battle, this battle, this chaotic world, this battle, this final battle. Chapter 1739. Rumble. The Heaven Tao realm completely collapsed. The scene of doomsday collapsing and heaven and earth splitting apart shocked everyone's visual nerve. The space continued to collapse, causing the entire Heaven Tao city to completely disappear. In between heaven and earth, there seemed to be a huge abyss that extended endlessly to the 9 heavens. Oh my God! What level of power is this? Isn't it too terrifying? Looking at the terrifying space abyss that couldn't bear the huge power, the entire battlefield of the Heaven Tao realm completely collapsed. The various sacred clans and forces quickly retreated, afraid that they would be sucked into the endless space abyss. In the collapsed void of the 9 heavens, 2 light pillars that emitted a world-destroying aura directly rushed into the depths of the chaotic space. At this moment, the heavens shattered and the universe changed. There was no sun or moon, and there was no distinction between heaven and earth. All the great emperors looked at the 2 peerless figures that were like the sun and moon in the universe with incomparably solemn expressions. Everyone's eyes were filled with great emotions and hope. Chu Hen, it's all up to you now. The great star emperor let out a deep breath, and he couldn't hide the exhaustion between his brows. The devouring emperor, 9 Nether, Great Desolation, Ice Emperor, and other experts also nodded at each other in tacit understanding. They no longer had the ability to interfere in this battle. You must win. The hope of the human clan rests on you alone, the devouring emperor muttered to himself. Rumble. The wind and clouds split apart and thunder filled the sky. Chu Hen and the Reincarnation Emperor directly rushed into the galaxy. 2 majestic pillars that pierced through the universe collided with each other like ancient dragons and pythons, and they rushed into the vast, shattered void together. The collision between the 2 was exceptionally fierce and intense. It was like a battle between 2 ancient dragons, or 2 raging and overbearing tornadoes colliding with each other. Boom! With a violent explosion, 2 beams of light suddenly burst from the middle, like a terrifying tidal wave of a sudden change in the nebula sweeping in all directions. Then, the 2 figures surrounded by thousands of light shadows retreated to the rear. The space they were in collapsed in all directions. Everything around him was in a hazy state of chaos, and countless spatial turbulences intertwined around him like a rain of light. Even for experts at the Great Emperor realm, these terrifying spatial turbulences were extremely dangerous. However, Chu Hen and the Samsara Emperor were not affected at all. The 2 of them were like 2 ice-cold statues in the midst of an apocalyptic storm. In their deep eyes, there was only the existence of each other. Ha! The Reincarnation Emperor let out an ear-piercing shriek. Sinister shadows appeared on half of his face that was covered with demonic runes. Several pairs of demonic wings quickly grew out of the Reincarnation Emperor's back along with the dense, chilly, scarlet evil blood chi. Even his arms had become extraordinarily sturdy and mighty, and his 10 fingers had grown sharp demonic claws. I never thought that I would be forced to such a state by you. The Reincarnation Emperor's eyes were surging with endless coldness, especially his left divine eye, which had completely turned into a deep black color without any white. It was so dark that it was like a whirlpool, emitting an extremely horrifying aura. Looking at the monstrous evil chi released by the Reincarnation Emperor, Chu Hen's lips curled into a mocking smile. To think that you, the Reincarnation Emperor, are the leader of the 10 holy clans. Now, you've become neither a human nor a demon. Even if the heavens don't punish you, you'll still become a sinner in history. Shut up. The Reincarnation Emperor's expression became slightly sinister. Wait till I slay your 3,000 great Daos and wash all the holy clans with blood. Let me ask you, who in this world would dare to convict me? Very good last words, replied Chu Hen coldly. Ha 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 ha, cut the crap. Show me your strongest move. The reincarnation emperor laughed wildly. Then, his laughter stopped, and a cold light shot out from his eyes. Zing! A loud and passionate sword cry resounded through the universe. The Heaven Calamity sword suddenly appeared in his hand. The reincarnation emperor held the sword with one hand and brushed the blade with the other. Then, a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth was released. Heavenly Tao, celestial shadow. The moment he finished speaking, the Heaven's Calamity sword blossomed with a dazzling light. Together with the rapidly accelerating space turbulence, the reincarnation emperor's figure was like the stars moving, impressively splitting into nearly 100 doppelgangers. Every doppelganger looked no different from the original body. Then, the nearly 100 doppelgangers of the reincarnation emperor waved the Heaven Calamity sword in their hands. The sword shadows that covered the void swept up in endless destructive force and attacked Chu Hen. His first move was the power of Heavenly Tao. The reincarnation emperor, who had merged with the power of the heretic god, had already surpassed the limits of humans. Facing the sword shadows that seemed to be flying towards him, Chu Hen's demonic eyes surged with traces of black light. The glory of the reincarnation holy clan will end today, whoosh! After he finished speaking, a series of colorful and gorgeous light wings suddenly bloomed outside Chu Hen's body. The dazzling shadow light was like a divine chain that sealed the sky and locked the earth. As the light wings fluttered, Chu Hen actually exploded with an extremely powerful attack and faced the sword shadows that were swarming towards him head-on. Swoosh! Whoosh! Thousands of dazzling lights collided and the sword shadows appeared in the sky. One after another, extremely sharp reincarnation emperor doppelgangers swung their swords and shuttled back and forth around Chu Hen. Every time a doppelganger passed by a doppelganger, a world-shocking white sword light would appear in the void. The crisscrossing sword light was like an aurora shuttle that cut through the galaxy. The terrifying sword light could even cut through the space turbulence. Hiss! Long and eye-catching wounds appeared on Chu Hen's body one after another. However, Chu Hen did not care about it in the slightest. He did not even frown. The strangest thing was that in the next instant, the wound that opened up quickly healed itself. There wasn't even a chance for blood to flow out. Among the many sword shadows, Chu Hen, who was surrounded by the colorful light wings, directly found the location of the reincarnation emperor's original body. The distance between the two of them was shrinking at lightning speed. This level of attack is not even qualified to hurt my divine body. Like a shooting star, he flew towards the reincarnation emperor. Their gazes were like two light shuttles that had traveled through the universe for billions of years. Sizzle, a series of violent dark purple lightning flowed between Chu Hen's palms and arms. A beam of purple light quickly cut through the powerful sword aura around the reincarnation emperor and attacked the reincarnation emperor's throat. Humph! The reincarnation emperor snorted and his pupils contracted slightly. He waved his sword and a white sword arc that cut through the sky slashed down like a falling divine moon. Boom! The intense energy collided at close range, and a ring of light rippled between the two of them. The terrifying aftershock caused the two of them to retreat. But then, the distance between them narrowed in a straight line. Bang! Bang! Layers of violent shock waves pierced through the sky and swept through the void. Every time Chu Hen and the reincarnation emperor collided, it was comparable to the explosion of the stars and meteorites in the vast universe. The vast ring of light ripples spread horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. It was a shocking scene like the explosion of the galaxy, with a splendor that extended infinitely. The reincarnation emperor's sword aura was so strong that it could destroy heaven and earth and sweep through the 9 provinces. Chu Hen's divine body could shatter the sky and crush everything. One was like an unparalleled demon god, while the other was like an ancient god of war. Facing the Reincarnation Emperor's world-shaking sword shadow that could crush everything, the beautiful shadow wings around Chu Hen's body showed a dreamy color. In the course of the battle, the color of the shadow wings constantly changed. There was the blazing flame shadow wings. The icy shadow wings were as cold as frost. There was the flashing starry shadow wings. There was also the bright moon shadow wings with a bright silver light. Every time the light source of the shadow wings around Chu Hen changed color, the attribute of the power that Chu Hen released would change. The chaotic divine body was already an extraordinary power that was compatible with the other sacred body bloodlines. As the two's attack rhythm continued to increase, a spectacular and dazzling dreamy scene appeared in the boundless hazy void. Chu Hen and the Reincarnation Emperor continuously flashed through the vast and boundless void of primal chaos. Bang! Suddenly, an extremely violent power collided between the two, and the light source that was like a shocking wave was very dazzling. The flames of power flowing around the two who quickly retreated were especially restless. A sharp demonic howl resounded, and the Reincarnation Emperor's body released a terrifying evil murderous aura that was like 100 rivers flowing out of the sea. The demon god descends. Rumble! Thousands of nebulous storms gathered, and a vast evil murderous aura surrounded them. In an instant, the Reincarnation Emperor's body suddenly became 10,000 zhang tall. In front of him, Chu Hen was as small as an ant. Your divine body's great path is only SOSO. After saying that, the Reincarnation Emperor swung his sword at Chu Hen like an ancient giant that controlled the stars in the universe. This sword could be said to be peerless. The entire chaotic void seemed to be shaking violently with it. The incomparably terrifying sword aura swept up a storm that could destroy the starry sky, and the pillar of light poured down. Chu Hen, who was below the huge blade, was like a speck of dust that was about to dissipate. Boom, however, at this moment, in the chaotic universe behind Chu Hen, an incomparably huge arm suddenly reached out. The fiend-like hand opened its 5 fingers and directly grabbed the huge blade of the world-destroying blade. What? The Reincarnation Emperor's expression changed slightly, and his squinted eyes were filled with surprise. Behind Chu Hen, a huge figure that also had a 10,000 zhang tall demonic body stood in the void. Sorry to keep you waiting. I will let you see the power of the chaotic divine body. Taking advantage of the moment when the 10,000 zhang tall figure behind him blocked the huge blade, Chu Hen directly leaped up and swept towards the Reincarnation Emperor with a flash of light. Beams of majestic aura and different colors of berserk energy light pillars soared into the sky like the legendary primordial void dragons. Swift as the wind. Dazzling shadows. In an instant, Chu Hen struck out thousands of palms in an instant. Like the nebula entering the river, the terrifying palm energy overlapped and bombarded the Reincarnation Emperor's body. Bang! The heavy sound was like the collision of thunder and meteorites. The Reincarnation Emperor's chest forcefully burst open. It was like a lotus flower that bloomed outwards. Broken bones, internal organs, and flesh exploded like fireworks. Ah! The Reincarnation Emperor let out a deep roar. His 10,000 zhang tall demonic body was like a dissipating raging flame, quickly extinguishing. A huge and ferocious force crushed down. When the Reincarnation Emperor returned to his original form, the evil god demonic shadow attached to his body erupted with countless red inscriptions. The red inscriptions that were as dry as blood directly filled the Reincarnation Emperor's broken chest and healed his injuries. Hee, not bad. The evil god's mocking sneer came from the Reincarnation Emperor's throat. Then, the Reincarnation Emperor stretched out his left head that was covered in demonic inscriptions and shouted fiercely, "Just this? You can't kill me, hee, of course I can't kill you." Wah! Accompanied by a strange, ear-piercing whistle, the Reincarnation Emperor revealed a greedy and sinister smile. The evil god's aura surged out like a storm. I have to admit that you are stronger than the Sky Emperor back then. However, you met me, the God-forbidden blood prison emperor. Emperor! Rumble, a wind pillar soared into the sky, and the nebula rotated. In the next instant, Chu Hen was enveloped by a blood-colored nebula storm. The blood-colored whirlpool danced wildly in all directions. Countless cross-shaped light blades cut off the space turbulence and converged toward Chu Hen. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. The flowing light shadow wings circled around him and flew up and down. Then, Chu Hen's palms faced outwards. Buzz! A black light source that gradually solidified expanded in the shape of a sphere. In the blink of an eye, an enormous energy sphere with a diameter of more than 10,000 feet appeared like a derived star. The black inscriptions flowed on the surface of the sphere, and all the blood-colored cross-shaped light blades were blocked outside. You are much more tenacious than I imagined. The evil god's voice came from the reincarnation emperor's mouth. 1,000 opportunities transformation, 10,000 demons appear, 100,000 demon souls. What? An even more violent blood-colored nebula storm stirred up the heavenly river. Then, hideous and terrifying demon souls appeared in all directions where Chu Hen was. Greed, cruelty, ruthlessness. 100,000 demon souls were like countless ferocious heavenly hounds surrounding the bright moon. They merged into the blood-colored storm and pounced toward Chu Hen, who was in the black energy sphere. The universe was ever-changing, and the passage of time was ever-changing. This battle, earth-shaking. Chapter 1740. 1,000 schemes transformation, 10,000 demons appear. 100,000 demon souls. The crimson nebula storm that stirred chaos in the sky expanded infinitely, just like the galaxy whirlpool that swept across the universe. 100,000 demon souls were like fierce heavenly dogs surrounding the bright moon. Slaughter. Ferocious. Sharp, ear-piercing wild howls covered the sky and covered the earth. Chu Hen's body was trapped within the 100,000 demon souls. Although he appeared to be isolated and helpless, the light that he emitted was like the stars and moon, gorgeous and eye-catching. Woo! What? Facing the 100,000 demon souls that were bursting with vicious energy, Chu Hen's aura did not diminish. Instead, it increased. Then, his eyes flashed with a sharp light. Chaos, devour heaven and earth, roar! In an instant, there seemed to be the long roar of an ancient and mysterious beast in the primal chaos void. Above Chu Hen, a black aura suddenly gathered and covered the sky. The dense black aura covered the sky. Shortly after, an enormous creature that was like an ancient demonic dragon appeared above Chu Hen in a dreamlike manner. Woo! In the next instant, the illusory behemoth opened its mouth wide, and a black ring of light, like the light of a galaxy, burst out. Following that, the black halo transformed into countless dark bubbles that enveloped the ferocious demonic souls that were charging at them. The dense bubbles were like a dream. In the blink of an eye, all 100,000 demon souls were trapped inside. Accompanied by the crimson storm, 100,000 demon souls revolved around the black bubble of light, like thousands of meteorites around the bright moon. However, in the next second Chu Hen's hands clenched into fists, and an extremely powerful and frightening power flowed out from his body. 6 paths destroyed, 10,000 demons dissipated. Bang! The instant his voice fell, a world-shocking and frightening aura suddenly spread out from within the blood-colored storm. Surrounding Chu Hen, the black bubble of light that imprisoned the 100,000 demonic souls actually exploded at the same time. The collapsed space shook violently. 100,000 halos exploded at the same time. Numerous powerful and gorgeous rings of light were like the ripples caused by the pouring rain falling on the surface of the water. Ring after ring, layer after layer, they swept through the chaotic void. It was an incomparably magnificent sight. The scene was comparable to thousands of meteorites exploding at the same time, shocking the heavens and shocking the world. Most shocking of it all was that the 100,000 devil souls were instantly crushed into pieces, and without exception, all of them vanished into thin air and vanished into the wind. Rumble! The dazzling shadow wings weaved back and forth, and Chu Hen seemed to be bathed in a peerless divine light. Let me ask you, with 100,000 devil souls, can you block one of my moves? After saying that, Chu Hen's lightly clenched fists loosened, and another wave of extremely powerful energy rhythmically stacked up. The black energy sphere that lingered around Chu Hen's body exploded with an extremely terrifying repulsive force. Hiss, heaven and earth shook violently, and the blood-colored storm was directly blown away. A layer of vast and mighty light wave that looked like a cosmic whirlpool that traced back billions of years forcefully pushed back the dense fiendish devil energy that gathered around Chu Hen. Screech, both sides' piercingly cold gazes met in the air, and both of their gazes looked like ice-cold eagles that had passed through tens of thousands of years. The destruction of the 6 paths, and the disappearance of the 10,000 devils? Today, I'll let you see who was the one who was destroyed, and who was the one who dissipated. The reincarnation Thearka's eyes flickered with a sharp and enchanting light. The power of his bloodline boundary and the power of the heretic god were like 2 overwhelming doomsday storms that converged together. Whoosh! The heavenly tribulation sword in the reincarnation Thearka's palm was like a shocking scorching sun, shining with extraordinary splendor. Heavenly Tao, heavenly tribulation Tao. Whoosh! The sword roared through the 9 heavens, and its momentum pierced through the galaxy. Suddenly, the shocking doomsday storm that converged and revolved around the reincarnation Tharch turned into an incomparably huge sword vortex. Billions of flying swords revolved around the reincarnation Thearka's body. It was spectacular and shocking. Every sword radiance was like a shooting star that had traveled through countless years. At this moment, it was as if the chaotic void was about to be torn apart. The terrifying sword vortex spun rapidly, and the chaotic space in all directions was shaken by this peerless divine might. The reincarnation Tharch, who was in the center of the sword vortex, was like an ancient witch god who controlled the lives of all living beings. He looked at Chu Hen indifferently, and his eyes were filled with endless killing intent. It's time to end this. The heavenly tribulation has arrived, and the chaos is about to be destroyed. 1 sword, 10,000 sword calamities. Death, bloom. The moment he finished speaking, the reincarnation Tharch waved the heavenly tribulation divine sword in his palm. Then, the destructive doomsday storm pressed down, and the incomparably majestic sword vortex was like billions of light shooting stars that were produced by the explosion of stars. The power rose. The sword came. The sword river that was like a meteor shower pierced through the chaotic sky, and it swept up an irresistible killing force as it attacked Chu Hen. Pear blossom torrential rain, endless heavenly radiance. Every sword was surrounded by wind. Every sword was flowing with light and shadow. It was extremely fast. The attack was extremely strong. Boom! An incomparably heavy and intense explosion tore through the air. The black spherical energy body around Chu Hen's body was directly smashed into pieces by the torrential sword light. Thousands of shattered black crystal fragments scattered like dust. Chu Hen's pupils shrank, and his demonic purple pupils reflected the sword rain light pillar that was filled with killing intent. Hiss! Swoosh! The billions of sword rain intertwined, and it was so terrifying that it was like an aurora tunnel that passed through the chaotic universe. Chu Hen was alone in the aurora tunnel, and the sword light shadows passed through his body one after another. The endless killing force quickly cut Chu Hen's body, and his limbs were constantly separated from his body. However, in the next second, the wounds on Chu Hen's body completely healed, and the limbs that were cut off reconnected. Tiske, an unkillable divine body. The reincarnation emperor's strange laughter came out of the evil god's mouth. Then, he changed the topic, and his momentum suddenly increased. It doesn't exist. Wah! A demonic roar shook the sky and the chaos changed. Then, a monstrous demonic aura rose behind the reincarnation emperor, and a 10,000 feet tall blood-colored demonic shadow appeared in the void like the god of death. The aura of death. It enveloped the universe. The blood-colored demonic shadow's eyes were like ancient dark abysses, and it was holding a giant scythe of the god of death that could split heaven and earth, and it was also a life-reaping scythe. Dried blood patterns covered the demonic shadow's palms and arms, and they quickly surrounded the scythe. It's time to say it's over. The 10,000 feet tall demonic shadow raised the blood-colored scythe of the god of death in its hand, and a thick scarlet light swirled like a flowing pillar. At the same time, Chu-Hen, who was in the Sword River Aurora tunnel, revealed a strong determination in his eyes. The human race's territory will never end, Zeng. As soon as he finished speaking, a few dazzling giant light chains suddenly bloomed behind Chu-Hen. The light chains of different colors were like divine wings that traversed the galaxy. One was scorching red. One was white like the moon. One was dark black. One was dark grayish-brown. One was holy gold. One was domineering red. One was gorgeous silver. And one was demonic purple. Sky-scorching sacred body, abysmal sacred body, devouring sacred body, great desolate sacred body, godly eye sacred body, primitive sacred body, star sacred body, and demon eye sacred body. 8 of the 10 most powerful sacred bodies were currently in Chu-Hen's chaotic divine body. Zing, then, another 2 giant light chains with monstrous momentum appeared on both sides of Chu-Hen. One was as cold as jade and was the power of the Ice Empress bloodline. The other was crystal clear, swaying with blue light and exuding a strong demonic aura. It was the power of the demon race's emperor Qi-Kong. 10 huge chains of light spread out in a fan shape behind Chu-Hen's back like a huge blade that could split the heavens. Immediately after, a peerless emperor's aura that could shatter the universe exploded from Chu-Hen's body. The 10 chains behind him were like huge dragons as they coiled around each other, accompanied by countless ancient and mysterious thorny vines that filled the air. Thousands of spinning wings of light converged at one point, then condensed into an incomparably huge 10-colored arrow. Rumble! The storm spread and the galaxy trembled. The gigantic godfiend shadow behind Chu-Hen took out a huge flowing light divine bow from the vast and misty chaotic void with one hand. Chi patterns spread out like stars. Chu-Hen's eyes were piercingly cold and extraordinary. This is something you have never seen before. Crack! The gigantic godfiend shadow pulled the bow with one hand and held the arrow with the other. The bowstring gradually turned into a full moon. Every inch of the bowstring caused the void to tremble. 10 different colored sky-piercing arrows lingered with billions of light columns, showing the momentum of chasing after the sun. At the same time, the gigantic godfiend shadow behind the reincarnation emperor waved the death god's scythe in its hand. The ancient red vines were extremely dazzling. Bloom. Blood. I am the master of the godly forbidden blood prison. I am in charge of your life and death. Evil God's blood blade. The momentum of the evil god and the reincarnation emperor overlapped. The gigantic godfiend shadow waved the death god's scythe in its hand. In an instant, a red arc of light fell down. The land of the 9 prefectures shall be protected by me. I am Heavenly Emperor Chu. I am Heavenly Emperor Chu. Millions and millions of glowing wings unfurled. The 100,000 feet tall black figure of the demonic god behind Chu-Hen released the bowstring. Whoosh! An impassioned vibrating sound rang out. The arrow of light that was swaying with 10 different colors shot out explosively. Heavenly Emperor's arrow. Rumble! The stars changed color, and the sun and moon dimmed. The blood-red scythe's arc cut through the starry sky. The 10-colored flowing light soared aura-chased after the sun and moon. The heaven and earth battle. The heaven and earth battle. At the border of the vast chaotic void, The two auroras collided head-on like a star vortex storm that had unexpectedly met. Boom! Bang! Explosion! The Milky Way explosion! The moment the evil god's demon blade and the heavenly emperor's arrow collided, space and time seemed to stop. Countless dazzling auroras bloomed. The billions of light-rotating shadow wings were like a blooming solar storm. Bang! Rumble! Circle after circle of light swept through the void of the ninth heaven. The unprecedented spectacular scene was like a black hole exploding and swallowing the stars. However, at this moment, a loud bang resounded as the blood-colored scythe was split into two. The heavenly emperor's arrow, which had gathered the 10 divine powers, was like a million-year aurora piercing through the solar storm. It turned into a beam of light and swept toward the reincarnation emperor. Swoosh! The heavenly emperor's arrow pierced through the chaotic world. The dazzling arrow pierced through the reincarnation emperor's chest and the peerless demonic figure behind him. At this moment, time seemed to slow down. At this moment, time seemed to stop. The reincarnation emperor's eyes widened. He looked at the wound in the middle of his chest in shock. An endless stream of black flames gushed out from his chest, which had been pierced through. His face was filled with disbelief. Buzz! An ancient chant seemed to resound between heaven and earth. Chu Hen's aura quickly overwhelmed the reincarnation emperor. The reincarnation emperor was at a loss. Then, his facial features twisted and he said with a hideous face, "You can't kill me. You can't kill me. I have gone through 10 reincarnation tribulations. My saint's soul is immortal. Even if I lose this time, I will definitely be involved again. I won't give you a chance." Chu Hen's mocking voice spread out. "As I said before, this isn't a duel. It's a punishment. I will judge your sins, Rumble." In an instant, the chaotic void below the reincarnation emperor cracked open again, revealing a huge, pitch-black abyss. In that abyss, a huge, ancient stone tablet that was more than 10,000 zhang tall slowly rose. The Great Path Divine Stone. The reincarnation emperor's face changed. His eyes were filled with endless fear and panic. "You, bury yourself in the chaotic abyss forever and repent. My power will gradually devour you." Rumble! The Great Path Divine Stone's entire body flowed with ancient, mysterious runes. Countless crisscrossing black thorny vines burst out from it. Swish! Then, icy cold blazing star chains shot out from the Great Path Divine Stone's body. The reincarnation emperor turned pale with fright. His face was filled with fear that he had never seen before. However, he didn't have any chance to escape. The swaying chains wrapped around his limbs and throat. The powerful pulling force pulled him close to the surface of the Great Path Divine Stone. Buzz! Thousands of ancient mysterious runes attached themselves to the reincarnation emperor's body, like the legendary dark incantations. In an instant, the reincarnation emperor's power fell into a state of silence. No, the reincarnation emperor's face was ferocious. His eyes were filled with hatred. Chu Hen's expression was indifferent. "It's time for you to return your eyes." After speaking, Chu Hen's body moved and he flashed in front of the reincarnation emperor. He placed a single palm on the reincarnation emperor's eyes, then retracted his palm outwards. A formless huge gravitational force directly pulled out the reincarnation emperor's eyes. The reincarnation emperor, who had lost his eyes, had sunken eye sockets, and his hair was disheveled. He looked like a malicious spirit. Chu Hen looked at the reincarnation emperor like a judge. "The sins you have committed will make you stay in the chaotic abyss forever." Buzz! A dazzling pentagram shone on the Great Path Divine Stone. The chains on the 10,000 zhang tall divine stone tightened rapidly. Like an ancient giant beast, the reincarnation emperor was dragged into the endless dark abyss. The sky changed. The world changed. The wind and clouds changed. The universe changed. The 6 paths of reincarnation, the Great Path Palm. Under Chu Hen's indifferent gaze, the reincarnation emperor's figure was dragged into the eternal hell with the great path divine stone. The crack in the abyss was closing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The reincarnation emperor was like a god. This battle had come to an end. Chapter 1741. The Six Paths World. The turbulent nine heavens finally welcomed the gradual calmness. In the heavenly law realm, countless people looked at the collapsing sky with unconcealable shock on their faces. Just a moment ago, they had personally witnessed an unprecedented and shocking battle. In the deepest part of their minds, it was as if the reincarnation monarch was dragged mercilessly into the abyss of chaos. That scene. It was unforgettable. That scene. It would become eternal. That scene. And it would rewrite the history of the human realm. He won, Chu Hen won. After a moment of silence, the Heaven Dao world's battlefield was filled with cheers and cheers. Yes, he won. He won. We won too. We won. The drums of victory began to resound throughout the Six Paths world. Star Emperor, Abysmal Emperor, Devouring Emperor, Sky-Scorching Emperor and the other great emperors exchanged glances with one another. Finally, a hint of relief could be seen on their exhausted faces. We won. The great Star Emperor smiled. His smile was exceptionally comfortable. That's right. We won. Sky-Scorching Monarch closed his eyes as tears flowed down from the corner of his eyes. To the Sky-Scorching Saint clan, they had lost too much during this period of time. When he heard the cheers behind him, Sky-Scorching Saint Monarch's emotions were complicated. Did you see that? Chu Hen won. He did not disappoint us. Ha 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 ha. Long Qingyang's laughter was filled with pride even though his face was covered in blood. Of course, he is the brother I am most proud of, Chu Hen. This Marshal Feng's brother has never disappointed us. At the same time, the Mantis demon army that came from the godly Forbidden Blood prison retreated quickly. Woo! Menacingly, they covered the sky and covered the earth as they fled in panic. They were as ferocious as they came, but they were as pathetic as they fled. Go back to your demon realm. If you dare to step foot in the human realm again, I will tear you into pieces. Go back! Go back! The demon army, which had no momentum to speak of, was like a shoal of fish that had drilled into the mouth of a net, fleeing in panic along the plain channel that they had come from in the bloody storm. Moreover, in the process of escaping, there were still countless experts of the human race chasing after them. Along the way, dazzling demonic blood splashed the sky. Within the primal chaos void. Buzz. A wave of powerful energy was emitted, and the crack that was connected to the chaotic abyss completely closed up. From then on, the Reincarnation Emperor's aura was completely buried in the dark and endless underground. What awaited him was an illusory life that would never see the light of day. However, Chu Hen's expression was still calm and indifferent. Then, his eyelids twitched as he said indifferently, "I think it's better for you to go down with him, ha ha ha." A playful laughter rang out, and an illusory blood-red shadow floated in front of Chu Hen like a cloud of fog. It wasn't easy for me to get out. I don't want to go back. Buzz! Their gazes met. One was deep and domineering, while the other was dark and gloomy. Looking at the evil god whose aura was erratic, Chu Hen's brows revealed a hint of coldness and arrogance. This time, you win. The evil god continued, however, I will come again, humph. Chu Hen chuckled. With me here, it's the same no matter how many times you come. Ha 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 ha. You must always remember that my god Forbidden Blood prison has always been eyeing you. Chu Tiendi, bang! The moment the voice fell, the blood-red shadow in front of Chu Hen shattered like a mirror, and instantly turned into countless crystal fragments. The crystal fragments were then crushed into dust, and finally turned into a wisp of smoke that dissipated in the primal chaos. Feeling the evil god's dissipating aura, Chu Hen's deep eyes flashed with a hint of sharpness. Even though he had sealed the Reincarnation Emperor, he still couldn't send the evil god back. To this, Chu Hen wasn't surprised. After all, even the heavenly monarch couldn't kill the evil god back then. However, Chu Hen wasn't particularly worried. Although the evil god had escaped, it had also suffered a great loss. The human race could still have a long period of time to recuperate. Furthermore, people were born in trouble and died in peace. The evil god's existence would always remind Chu Hen not to stop pursuing the pinnacle of martial arts. Letting out a deep breath, the sharpness in Chu Hen's eyes gradually eased. Then, he turned into a ray of light and flew back to where he came from. Fellow cultivators, I'm back. The majestic aura of a king resounded in the sky of the Heaven Dao world. Everyone in the Six Paths world was shocked by what they saw. When they looked at Chu Hen, there was only respect in their eyes. Every tired face revealed a sincere smile. The wind blew and the sky changed. The war of the Six Paths world had finally come to an end. Krong. As the stone tablet formed by Qi Tianling crumbled, the entrance of the godly Forbidden Blood prison was completely sealed off. A large number of demons fled in panic, and those that didn't manage to escape in time were killed by the Alliance's warriors. The crumbling sky slowly returned to its original state. The huge crack that connected the heaven and earth was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, the heavenly lost city had long been obliterated. The mountains, rivers, and peaks of the entire heavenly law realm had all been reduced to ruins. Oh, woo! At the same time, the heart beasts summoned by the monarchs also let out a long howl. One after another, the ferocious beasts turned into dazzling lights and disappeared from the world. On the other side, the souls of Monarch Bai, Monarch Zhaohua, Monarch Bai, Monarch Bai, Monarch Bai, Monarch Zhaohua, and the others that were imprisoned by Chu Hen's chaos incarnation also started to turn transparent. Their bodies emitted a white mist that resembled water vapor. They finally broke free from Universe God Guji's control. Star Monarch murmured softly. 9 Nether Monarch, by Qianyu, Li Wushang, Ice Monarch, and the others couldn't help but fly towards the souls that had yet to dissipate. Father! Bai Qianyu subconsciously called out. Monarch! Li Wushang also called out to Monarch Yaotong's soul. They had thought that the other party would not have any reaction, but something unexpected happened. There was a slight ripple in their blank eyes, and the corners of Emperor Bai's mouth curled up slightly. Long time no see. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. War souls have their own consciousness? Sorry for the trouble. At this time, Monarch Yaotong's soul also spoke. Everyone was shocked, and in disbelief. Monarch? Li Wushang's voice was trembling and his eyes were slightly red. Monarch Yaotong smiled and turned to look at Chu Hen. Well done, Hing. Uncle is proud of you. Chu Hen nodded. I am also proud of Monarch Yaotong for being my uncle. Ha 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 ha, that's great. I'm satisfied to be able to see you before I leave. Monarch Bai also looked at 9 Nether Monarch and Bai Qianyu with a gentle gaze. Your Qianyu, please forgive me. 9 Nether Monarch shook his head and 2 streams of tears flowed unknowingly from the corners of his eyes. Bai Qianyu's eyes were even redder. She gritted her teeth and forced a smile. Say goodbye properly. Mother and I will listen carefully. Monarch Bai smiled. One had to admit that his gentleness was exceptionally charming. My soul returns to my homeland, and my homeland is yours. The frosty white chi patterns quickly evaporated, and the few battle souls were like crumbled dust and paper, floating in the void. You are still alive, that's great. Great Emperor Zhaohua's war soul looked at Qingxue with a smile. Although Qingxue's figure and appearance were very different from before, Great Emperor Zhaohua still recognized her as Ice Empress at one glance. The latter smiled. It's a pity that you couldn't stay. It's enough to see you again. Satisfied. Homeland is yours. It's enough. It was as if he was making up for the regret of not being able to complete. Sometimes parting doesn't hurt. What hurts is not being able to say a proper goodbye when parting. Everyone, the human clan will be relying on you from now on. Monarch Yaotong said loudly. Although he was only a war soul, he still looked imposing. Everyone, goodbye. Goodbye. Monarch Yaotong, Emperor Bai, Great Emperor Zhaohua, and the other war souls quickly dissipated. Everyone in the heavenly law world immediately sent them off in unison. We respectfully send off all the almighties of the human clan. Hua! It was as if a cool breeze blew through the trees and flowers bloomed. Under the farewell of the heavenly law world's people, the war souls turned into smoke and disappeared from the world. It's over. Star Monarch said thoughtfully. Yes, it's finally over. Monarch Huang agreed. Looking at Monarch Bai, Monarch Yaotong, and the others who disappeared in a hurry, Ninth Nether Monarch could no longer hold back the tears in his eyes. Bai Qianyu gently held Ninth Nether Monarch's hand, shook her head and smiled. Dad is still so gentle. In this world, there is no other man who is gentler than him. Then you are very lucky. You have his gentleness for a lifetime. With the disappearance of the heart beasts and the heavenly Tao war souls, the crumbling Six Paths world finally returned to a stable state. The reincarnation Saint Clan's heavenly Tao world was no more, and in its place was an endless battlefield. On the other hand, the reincarnation Saint Clan, Wilderness Saint Clan, Dragon Blood Saint Clan, and the other Saint Clans in the Six Paths world were all ashen. The winner takes all. The loser takes all. The Dragon Blood Monarch was killed by the evil god's demonic blade, and the reincarnation monarch was thrown into the abyss of chaos. Everyone then turned their attention to Wilderness Monarch. Everyone looked at the primordial chaos heavenly emperor with complicated expressions. Although Wilderness Monarch came to his senses at the last moment, it was still not enough to make up for the mistakes he had made. Do you have anything to say? Star Monarch Huang asked solemnly. Wilderness Monarch shook his head and his eyes stopped on Chu Hen. He paused for a second and said, I am willing to bear all the blame. Everyone had different expressions, but Chu Hen only nodded indifferently. He turned to Xing Chen, Devourer, Desolate Monarch and the others and said, I will have to trouble you to deal with the aftermath here. They naturally understood what Chu Hen meant and nodded in agreement. All right, we will see to it. Okay. Chu Hen smiled and turned to the Alliance's army. Then, he shouted, the heavenly Tao is broken. Reincarnation is our punishment. Let's go home. The last chapter will be released tomorrow. It is time for the book to say goodbye to everyone. It has been 4 years and the ending that martial apex divine King owes everyone is finally coming. Chapter 1742. 1 second to remember, wonderful pop-up window free reading. White Sovereign City. The huge white sovereign city of the cloud world seemed a little empty. Since the day the Sacred Clan Alliance left for the Six Paths world, only a few people stayed here. The wind is blowing. Luo Mingshang leaned on the windowsill, watching the cold wind blow away the fallen leaves outside. Her heart seemed to float away with the wind. The light from the window shone on the side profile of her face, giving her a dreamy and beautiful aura. Luo Mingshang caressed her slightly bulging belly with her jade-like hands, and her eyes were full of tenderness. She did not want to stay here, but she had to. Cloud robe. Luo Mingshang murmured, and the corner of her mouth raised into a smile. The clouds leave traces, the clothes are woven. At this moment, there was a rush of footsteps coming from the corridor outside the door. Creak. The door was pushed open directly, and Su Yorong shouted excitedly, Mingshang, they are back. It was like a beautiful firework blooming in the lonely night. Luo Mingshang's delicate body trembled slightly, and then her eyes seemed to shine brightly. Without any hesitation, she immediately rushed out of the room and ran along the long corridor. Slow down, be careful of the steps, Su Yorong quickly reminded. However, Luo Mingshang did not slow down her pace. She jogged forward with a smile in her eyes. Her soft long hair danced in the wind as she welcomed the warm sunshine. She was looking forward to every minute and every second of her life. At the same time, outside White Sovereign City, Chu Han also ran at the fastest speed in his life. His figure quickly passed through the square of the outer city and entered the main road of the inner city. The distance between the two was quickly shortened. Like two meteors separated by thousands of years, they approached each other's position. The next moment, their eyes shone with the brightest light of their lives. "I'm back!" Chu Han looked at Luo Mingshang and said. The smile on Luo Mingshang's face was the most gratifying one in her life. Luo Mingshang directly threw herself into Chu Han's arms. At this moment, her smile showed that she had nothing else to ask for. "I waited for a long time," she said. It was a very long time. For Luo Mengchang, this was actually not a long time, but every second felt like a year to her. Chu Han pulled her into his arms. "I'm sorry." Luo Mengchang shook her head slightly. "Don't say sorry. It's good that you're back." As she spoke, Luo Mengchang hugged Chu Han even tighter, as if she was afraid that he would leave again. Chu Han's brows were filled with gentleness. He whispered in Luo Mengchang's ear, "This time, I won't leave again. For the rest of my life, I will take you and Yuni with me to watch the flowers bloom and listen to Wuxie's voice. Keep your word." I'll keep my word. When the flowers on the trees bloom, the old friends return." The innocent voice rang out and someone replied. Chu Han and Luo Mengchang, from acquaintances to acquaintances, one was searching on the road, while the other was waiting in her hometown. From now on, there was no need to search, no need to wait. At the same time, Abysmal Emperor, by Qianyu, Long Xuan and the others also walked over from behind. Seeing Chu Han and Luo Mengchang hugging each other, everyone's faces were filled with relief. Qingyang. Su Yorong's eyes were also red as she threw herself at Long Qingyang, who had returned with her. The two of them hugged each other as well. "I'm sorry to have made you wait again." It's okay. It's good that you're back." Su Yorong buried her face in Long Qingyang's chest and choked with sobs. Long Qingyang only smiled and gently pulled his wife into his arms. TSK, what kind of people are they? Aren't these two brothers too much? Are they bullying me because I don't have a wife? Mu Feng's small eyes were full of contempt as he shouted. Ha, if you're so capable, find someone to hug. Not having a wife and not being able to find a wife are two completely different things. Yi Yao retorted. Mu Feng's small eyes slanted. Get lost. I'm a talented and handsome man, how can I not find a wife? You. Just as Mu Feng was about to scold him, a sneaky figure suddenly walked over and said, "Brother, may I know your name? I can tell that you have an extraordinary aura, and you're a dragon among men." The sudden compliment made Mu Feng beam with joy. It's not a problem. I'm like this. I have too many strengths and not many weaknesses. People call me unparalleled in the world. Mu Feng is one of them. So it's Brother Mu Feng. My surname is Han and my name is Yu. I'm the Tianji Palace Master Mu Fei, the Palace Master's direct disciple. I've already noticed you since we were in the Six Paths world. Ha, is that so? Mu Feng proudly raised his eyebrows at Yi Yao, then turned to Old Een Monkey and said, I also think that you're a bit arrogant when you walk. Arrogance is just my appearance. I used to be even more arrogant than this until one night, when the wind was strong and the night was dark, my head was cracked open. Impressive, to be honest, I was also arrogant when I saw the water and the wind. Until one day, when there was no one around, someone broke my leg. Damn, I didn't expect our experiences to be so similar. Genius. People will always be jealous of you. Hearing the two shameless freaks, Mu Feng and Old Een Monkey, flattering each other, the surrounding people were speechless. Birds of a feather flocked together. Yi Yao sighed. However, this kind of atmosphere was what everyone was looking forward to. Inside White Emperor City, under the warm sunlight, it seemed especially warm. 3 years later. Midland. Martial Alliance. The former War God Palace no longer existed. It was replaced by the new generation of Martial Alliance, which was formed by Martial Alliance, Han Yun Clan, and Spirit Phoenix Valley. What do you think of the main city? On the majestic main city, Dongfang Hengji, Han Yun Clan's Shu Yuan, and Spirit Phoenix Valley's Mei Zhang stood on both sides of Chu Hen. Chu Hen smiled and nodded in response to Dongfang Hengji's question. Yes, it's very imposing. Looking from afar, the Martial Alliance's city tower was circular, giving people the feeling that it was a huge nebula. It was very unique. Towering palace towers stood in the sky, incomparably domineering. Do you want to consider being the leader? The three of us are planning to retire. Dongfang Hengji smiled. Don't joke. Shu Yuan shook his head and stopped him. Chu Hen is now the patriarch of the Chaos God race and the Demon Eye Saint clan. He also wields the Celestial Emperor token and controls the 10 Directions Saint clan. Why would he need to be a mere alliance leader here? Chu Hen smiled and shook his head with a smile. The three of you can't find anyone to be the leader, but you can't find me to fill the vacancy, can you? Speaking of which, Senior Qiu Xingyi and Wang Li are both rare talents. They are quite suitable to manage the Martial Alliance. Qiu Xingyi and Wang Li are not bad, but we have more suitable candidates, Dongfang Hengji said. Come out. Qing. Valley Master Mei Zhang called out. Chu Hen was startled. He looked over and saw a noble young lady slowly walking out from the corridor of the city tower. Looking at the person in front of him, Chu Hen was even more surprised. It was none other than Huang Fuqing. She became the leader not because of you, but because she has the ability, Dongfang Hengji said to Chu Hen. Obviously, the three of them knew something about Chu Hen and Huang Fuqing. But in terms of talent and cultivation, Huang Fuqing was better than Qiu Xingyi and Wang Li. Plus, Huang Fuqing was born in the royal family and became the regent when she was a teenager. She had carried out countless difficult missions. It was reasonable for Dongfang Hengji and the others to choose her as the leader of the Martial Alliance. Of course, if one were to say that Chu Hen's relationship was not mixed in, no one would believe it. At least with Chu Hen behind her, no one would dare to touch the Martial Alliance. Huang Fuqing walked in front of them. She and Chu Hen looked at each other and smiled. If you are forced to be the leader, blink your eyes and I will take you away from here, Chu Hen said. Huang Fuqing was amused. She looked into Chu Hen's eyes and said, You don't believe in my strength? Chu Hen also smiled. I do. Then take me away when I don't want to stay here anymore. Okay. Chu Hen replied softly. They came to the place they wanted to go and met the people they wanted to see. In this world, there was nothing more pleasurable than this. However, Chu Hen didn't intend to stay any longer. After chatting with them for a while, he cupped his fists and said, I should go. As he spoke, he took a deep look at Huang Fuqing, then turned around and left. You don't want to stay a little longer? Dongfang Hengji asked. Chu Hen didn't look back. He pointed his right index finger at the sky. No, I have to go home and take care of the children. Go home and take care of the children. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but find it funny. Who would have thought that such words would come from the mouth of Chu Tiandi? In the blink of an eye, another 3 years had passed. Demonic Realm. Purple Imperial City. Back Mountain of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan. Screech, a sharp wave of air stacked up and an astonishing power surged out from a pair of strange eyes. This was a pair of holy golden pupils. In the depths of the pupils, 6 black dots were slowly rotating in a clockwise direction. During the process, the pair of golden pupils faintly glowed with a demonic purple light. However, what was surprising was that this pair of 6-star divine eyes actually came from a little boy around the age of 4. Her tender little face and delicate facial features were especially adorable. Especially when he was so focused on his task, it made people want to hug him. Xian Chun, at this moment, another crisp and sweet voice was heard. Then, a little girl around the age of 5 ran over from the other side of the hill. The little girl was very beautiful. She had a high nose, a small mouth, and a pair of beautiful big eyes. She was clearly a little beauty. The eyes of the little boy called Xian Chun lit up and the golden light in his eyes faded. He stood up and dusted himself off. Yuni, I'm here, he replied in a childish voice. You have to call me big sister. If you call my name again, I'll hit you. The little girl pouted and raised her hand to lightly pat his arm. Aya! The little boy pretended to be scared and shrank back. Then, he blinked his eyes and smiled. Big sister, I'm wrong. Don't hit me. Alright. I forgive you. The little girl acted like a little adult, which was even more adorable. Big sister, did you go to the 100 Kingdoms state with Meng Shangyang again? Yes. Mother and I went to Grandpa's house in Taishao City for a few days. That grandpa isn't even our biological grandpa. Why do you go back so often? You can't say that. Did you forget what father taught us last time? If you don't raise them, you can repay them with a broken finger. If you don't raise them, you can repay them with a broken head. If you don't raise them, you can't repay them with a broken head. It's precisely because he isn't our biological grandpa that we can't forget our roots. Although the little girl's voice was childish, her words were reasonable and methodical. She patiently taught her little brother. Xianxin, just like your name, we named you by Xianxin to commemorate Emperor Demonic Eye's granduncle and Emperor Bai's grandfather. Do you understand? By Xianxin. This boy was none other than Chu Hen and Bai Qianyu's child. Chu Hen took the Qin character in the surname of Emperor Bai and the Qin character in the name of Emperor Demon Eye, and separated them by the Xian character in the middle, so as to cherish the memory of the two ancestors whose souls had returned to their hometown. Bai Xianxin nodded his head in confusion when he heard his sister's explanation. I understand. It's just that mother has gone to the Saint Nether clan. There's no one to play with me. Where's Auntie Xuan Shuang and Auntie Little Yao? Why don't you go and play with them? Chu Yuni asked. Auntie Little Yao returned to the Saint Star dynasty. Auntie Xuan Shuang went to the North Ice region with Frost Emperor 2 days ago. I heard from father that Frost Emperor wants to take Auntie Xuan Shuang as his direct disciple. And Big Brother Xiaolong. Don't mention Big Brother Xiaolong, Bai Xianxin said in a childish voice. Big Brother Xiaolong and Uncle Mu Feng went to the Demon region to play and secretly drank Demon Emperor's wine. In the end, he went crazy and chased demonic beasts everywhere. When he returned, he was beaten up by Uncle Qingyang and cried. That's pretty tragic. Big Brother Xiaolong is so pitiful. Yuni Xianxin, you guys are here. While the two of them were chatting, an agile and graceful young figure walked towards them. Mother Mengshang. The two little guys immediately stopped chatting, turned around and ran toward each other. Looking at the two lovely children in front of her, a gentle smile appeared on Luo Mengshang's face. Although she was already a mother, time had not left any traces on Luo Mengshang's body. She was still beautiful and exquisite like a young girl. Mother Mengshang, give me a hug. Bai Xianxin went forward and acted coquettishly. Okay. Luo Mengshang smiled and gently hugged Bai Xianxin in her arms. Xianxin seems to have grown a little heavier. Looks like you'll catch up to big sister soon. Tisk. Chu Yuni pouted disdainfully. Mother Qianyu said that even if Xianxin grows taller and grows up, I will still be the elder sister. Younger brother should listen to elder sister. Yes, elder sister, do you want a hug? At this time, a hearty, gentle and magnetic male voice came from behind Luo Mengshang. Father! Chu Yuni and Bai Xuanxin's eyes lit up as they shouted in unison. Luo Mengshang also looked back at Chu Hen. The man in front of her, who was known as Chu Tiandi by the world, was as warm as the sun in winter. Father! Hug me, hug me! Chu Yuni hurriedly rushed towards Chu Hen. I also want a hug from Father. Bai Xianchen also reached out his tender little hands towards Chu Hen. Okay. Chu Hen carried Chu Yuni with one hand and took Bai Xianchen from Luo Mengshang's arms with the other, placing the two of them in the crook of his arms. Let's go back. Chu Hen smiled gently at Luo Mengshang, and Luo Mengshang also nodded. The four of them, facing the cool breeze, walked towards the direction of Purple Imperial City. Father, let me tell you a piece of good news. I have broken through to 6-star divine eyes. Bai Xianchen said as he clapped his hands. Wow! So powerful! Father, let me tell you a piece of news too. I have also reached 6-star demonic eyes. Chu Yuni did not want to be outdone. You are all powerful, all powerful. When I was your age, my bloodline had not yet awakened. Ha 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 ha, Father is too weak. Bai Xianchen laughed. Don't say Father is weak. Father is Chu Tiendi, the most powerful person in the world. Why is Chu Tiendi not as good as us? Bai Xianchen asked curiously. That should be because we are too powerful, right? Yes, that must be the case. The current Purple Imperial City. It had already washed away its previous decline, and what replaced it was an even more glorious scene than its peak. All the buildings in the city had been completely renovated. The towering city tower that supported the sky was peerlessly domineering, and the city tower that floated between heaven and earth was majestic. The flowing light falcons shuttled through the Milky Way, and the neat and tidy patrolling guards showed the strength of this race. Such a glorious scene, as you wish, Sky Lone Star Guard Li Wushang sighed with emotion on a certain pavilion in the Purple Imperial City. Behind him, a skinny old man sat on a rattan chair with his eyes closed. He looked as if he had nothing left to live for. Sigh. I can't die even if I wanted to. Can't you just let an old man like me rest in peace? It's not like I'm letting you continue to suffer. You have suffered so much, shouldn't you be allowed to enjoy some peace before you die? Li Wushang looked back at the old man. At this moment, Heavenly Wolf Star Guard Rao Failwan also walked over. What? Is Fourth Elder tired of living again? Isn't that so? The old man was none other than the Fourth Elder of the Demonic Eye Sacred Clan. During the battle between the Lightning Sacred Clan and the Demonic Eye Sacred Clan, the Fourth Elder died at the hands of the Lightning Emperor in order to buy time for Chu Hen to become a Sacred Emperor. However, although he died, his saint's soul didn't perish. In the past few years, Chu Hen had used all sorts of methods and used the Fourth Elder's saint's soul to pull him back from the clutches of the God of Death. I'm tired. I just want to rest. However, the Fourth Elder complained about being tired all the time, and complained every other day. Rao Failwan and Li Wushang looked at each other and nodded in tacit understanding. Xianchen and Yuni are here, Li Wushang said. Where? The Fourth Elder got up from his rattan chair as soon as he finished speaking, his eyes shining with anticipation. Seeing that there was no one around, the Fourth Elder stared coldly at the two. How dare you lie to me? You two are going to rebel. They're here. Before he finished speaking, Chu Hen's voice came from the other side. The few of them looked over and saw Chu Hen walking over with a little fellow in his arms. Beside him, Luo Mingshang had a slight smile on her face. Fourth Grandpa. When Bai Xianchen and Chu Yuni saw the Fourth Elder, they waved their hands happily and greeted him. Ha 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 ha. The Fourth Elder immediately beamed with joy. His expression of having nothing left to live for immediately turned into a kind and amiable one. Xianchen, Yuni, be good, be good. As he spoke, he hobbled over to greet them. Chu Hen put the two children down, and Chu Yuni and Bai Xianchen leaped into the Fourth Elder's arms. Child slave, that's what they mean, right? Rao Failwan asked. Li Wushang nodded. With these two children around, that's probably the only time he doesn't want to die. Listening to Li Wushang and Rao Failwan's conversation, Then looking at the fourth elder, who doted on Chu Yuni and Bai Xianchen, Chu Hen and Luo Mengchong couldn't help but smile at each other. It's fortunate that the fourth elder was resurrected. Otherwise, there would be one less person in the world who loves them, Luo Mengchong said. Chu Hen nodded. That's right. That poor old man has suffered for his entire life. I can't let him die alone. The fourth elder had given his all to the demonic Eye Sacred clan. Even at the last moment, when he was at the end of his rope, he defended the Purple Imperial City without any hesitation. Now, he wouldn't be tired anymore. Lord Celestial Ruler, someone wants to see you. A young guard came over from a bridge in the sky. Who? Chu Hen asked. It's a woman. She said her name is Qi Qianying. Qi Qianying? Chu Hen raised his eyebrows. Qi Qianying was a senior sister of the martial organization, but she did not stay with Qiu Xingyi, Wang Li and the others in the martial alliance. Instead, she left with the Green Hill Fox Jun Jianga. Invite her in, Chu Hen said. Yes, Lord Celestial Tharch. Not long after, under the guidance of the guard, a beautiful young woman arrived on the city's platform. Senior Sister Qianying, how have you been? Looking at the familiar face, Chu Hen greeted with a smile. However, things were different now. Chu Hen, who was once her junior brother, was now at the top. The Celestial Thearcha's aura still made Qi Qianying feel a little pressured. She smiled. Long time no see. More than 6 years, right? Yes. More than 6 years. You came alone? Chu Hen asked curiously. Qi Qianying naturally knew what he was referring to. She looked at Chu Hen solemnly and said, Someone wants to see you, not far away. Li Wushang and Rao Feilwan couldn't help but look at each other. After all, Chu Hen was now the Celestial Tharch in charge of the 10 sacred clans. The world only came to see him. No one had ever asked him to meet someone else in person. Who? Chu Hen was a little curious. Senior Jun Jianga? Qi Qianying shook her head. Think about it. Is there someone you particularly want to see? Someone he particularly wanted to see? Chu Hen looked puzzled. After a brief hesitation, his eyes widened. Could it be? Far away from the hustle and bustle of the world, this was a paradise undisturbed by the outside world. At a glance, the sea of flowers that stretched across the mountains was as beautiful as a fairyland. You're here. At the entrance of a wooden bridge, Jun Jianga, the fox of the Green Hills, had snow-dyed hair and devilish eyes. His charming face made countless women feel inferior. He looked at Chu Hen, who came with Qi Qianying, with a complicated look in his eyes. I've heard about what happened in the outside world. You've reached a height I never imagined, Celestial Tharch Chu. Chu Hen clenched his hands into fists. As a Celestial Tharch, he was actually a little nervous at this moment. Where is she? Jun Jianga turned slightly. Come with me. With that, Chu Hen and Jun Jianga walked side by side to the long bridge in the middle of the sea of flowers. Qi Qianying silently followed behind them. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Chu Hen asked as they walked. She didn't want to. Jun Jianga answered lightly. Chu Hen frowned slightly. Indeed, if she wanted to, she wouldn't have left alone. She's the reincarnation of the Fox Master of the Green Hills. Jun Jianga continued. A look of surprise flashed in Chu Hen's eyes. Surprised, right? In fact, I should have guessed why a human woman's hair would be purple. Almost all of the Green Hill foxes have green hair, but only the Fox Lord has purple hair. Back in Green Tracer Plain, she used up all of her life force to save you. In order to save her, I haven't taken a single step out of this place for many years. And then? How is she now? Chu Hen's voice trembled a little. Jun Jianga's long and narrow eyes twitched slightly. You'll know when you go and see for yourself. With that, Jun Jianga and Qi Qianying subconsciously stopped in their tracks. Receiving the look of seriousness in the other's eyes, Chu Hen took a deep breath and then walked across the wooden bridge with steady steps. Smoke curled up, flowers bloomed in all 4 seasons. Among the flowers, a nimble and agile white fox shadow scuttled across from time to time. The beautiful foxes had an extremely spiritual aura, and they happily shuttled through the flowers, chasing butterflies. After walking across the long wooden bridge, Chu Hen arrived at a long corridor that was like a picturesque scene. In the long corridor, surrounded by a sea of flowers, an open-air gazebo stood there quietly. In the gazebo, a beautiful woman with a beautiful face that could topple a city was gently stroking the zither at her fingertips. Her long purple hair was unique and beautiful. Beside her, there were also a few little foxes with traces of blue light lingering around them. This scene. It was very peaceful. "Master," Chu Hen called out in a trembling voice. The sound of the zither stopped abruptly, and the beautiful woman with long purple hair looked sideways. The two of them looked at each other, as if their feelings separated by thousands of years had gathered together. Shilan slowly got up, and the few little foxes around her dodged nimbly. Chu Hen walked forward in a daze. The two stood in the gazebo, but for a long time they couldn't speak. Shilan smiled, and her eyes seemed to have a circle of blue ink. Long time no see. It seemed that every time after a long separation, the words "long time no see" would be exchanged. Whether it was leaving without saying goodbye or waving goodbye, it seemed that all the previous separation was to prepare for the next reunion. Looking at Shilan in front of him, Chu Hen's eyes couldn't help but turn red. "Don't cry, you are Chu Tiendi now." Shilan raised her hand and gently wiped the glimmer of light from the corner of Chu Hen's eyes. "You have really grown up." "Yes." Chu Hen's eyebrows showed a little tenderness. "Master, I have grown up, and I will protect you in the future." Shilan's eyes were like limpid autumn water. She nodded with a smile and replied softly, "Okay. Strange flowers bloom, old friends return. Even if there are many desolation and sadness in this world, there is always such a person, like the warm sun in winter. Farewell. Sometimes it is to wait for reunion. There is one more chapter." Chapter 1743. Time elapsed, and it was everlasting. In the blink of an eye, another 4 years had passed. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed since the battle in the Six Paths world. Although the mountain was unpredictable, the water was unpredictable. But above everyone's head stood an insurmountable figure. He was the Heavenly Monarch. Heavenly Monarch Chu. In the past 10 years, the Saint clans gradually walked out of the haze of the battle in the Six Paths world, and Heavenly Monarch Chu's influence on the people grew stronger and stronger. The best of men. To the people, Heavenly Monarch Chu was definitely a godlike existence. Although the 9 provinces had calmed down, there was still one thing in Chu Hen's heart that he couldn't let go. That was the whereabouts of his parents. He thought that as long as he reached the peak of the world, and became the best of men, all the mysteries would no longer be secrets. But Chu Hen still didn't know where his parents were. One day, Palace Master Mu Fei of the Heavenly Secret Palace arrived, breaking the peace of the Purple Royal City, and the peace of the 10 Directions Saint Clan. Purple Royal City, Conference Hall. With Heavenly Monarch Chu as the leader, Star Monarch, Devouring Monarch, 9 Nether Monarch, Burning Monarch, Huang Monarch, and the other Saint Race Monarchs gathered together again. Everyone looked at the Palace Master of the Heavenly Secret Palace, Mu Fei, in confusion. Everyone. Mu Fei stood up and walked to the center of the hall. Her expression was incomparably solemn as she swept her gaze across everyone's faces. Finally, her gaze landed on Chu Hen. A month ago, the celestial seal region sensed the space in the ethereal heavens collapsing again. The ethereal heavens collapsed again? The few great emperors exchanged glances with one another, but they didn't have much of an emotional fluctuation. The space in the ethereal heavens is extremely unstable. It's not strange for it to collapse a few times, said Star Monarch. Mu Fei nodded. If that's the case, I wouldn't have asked Heavenly Monarch Chu to gather everyone here. Then, after the ethereal heavens collapsed, I sent people to check. Mu Fei continued, and her expression turned even more solemn. In the end, I found a cauldron in the ethereal heavens. Cauldron? Everyone was even more confused. What cauldron? Great Emperor Devour asked. Mu Fei shook her head. To be honest, I've never seen this item before. Furthermore, I'm certain that there are no records of this cauldron in this world. The most peculiar thing is the patterns carved on the body of the cauldron. Pattern? What kind of pattern? Great Star Emperor continued to ask. Mu Fei paused and said with a meaningful look in his eyes, the Heart Beast pattern. The Heart Beast pattern of the 10 Directions Sacred Clan is all on it. What? Everyone was shocked. Even Chu Hen couldn't help but stand up and ask, where is the cauldron? I brought it. A moment later, on a majestic firmament Taoist platform floating in the air. Everyone in the assembly hall had been transferred here. At the center of the Tao platform was an ancient cauldron that was over 10 meters wide. The style of the ancient cauldron was unknown. It gave people the feeling that it was from a very ancient era. The strangest thing was that the body of the ancient cauldron was engraved with a series of mysterious beast patterns. There were exactly 10 beast markings on it, not a few. Moreover, as Mu Fei said, the beast patterns were very similar to the heart beast of the 10 Directions Sacred Clan, be it in shape or appearance. What exactly is this thing? Everyone was confused. Under everyone's gaze, Chu Hen silently walked to the front of the ancient cauldron. Then, he gently pressed his hand on the body of the cauldron. Buzz, a slight spatial rhythm spread from Chu Hen's palm. Accompanied by a low tremble, the ancient cauldron glowed with a faint soft light. Thousands of light patterns flowed up and down the ancient cauldron. Then, it turned into countless thorny vines that spread in all directions. Clang, there seemed to be muffled thunder in the 9 heavens. The wind blew and the clouds surged. Dark clouds immediately covered the void. Just when everyone thought that a miracle was going to happen, Chu Hen slowly lowered his hand. The abnormal phenomenon in the sky also dissipated along with it. What's going on? Did you find anything? Several great emperors hurried forward to ask. Chu Hen shook his head, then glanced at Mu Fei and said, I injected chaotic divine power into it, but that's all there was. I also studied it for more than a month and got the same result, Mu Fei said. Everyone couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Come to think of it, it was strange. Something that was able to survive the collapse of the misty sky was definitely extraordinary. Especially the pattern of the 10 heart beasts on the cauldron, it was even more puzzling. No one would believe that this ancient cauldron didn't have a special origin. Everyone stared at the ancient cauldron of unknown origin and couldn't help but be at a loss. Do you guys think he wants us to summon the 10 heart beasts? Just then, the Abyss Great Emperor said tentatively. In an instant, it was as if someone had woken up from a dream. Everyone's eyes lit up with surprise. Chu Hen also scanned the cauldron back and forth, then looked at the crowd and said, Maybe we can give it a try. But we can't summon the 10 heart beasts. Burning Sky Great Emperor poured a bucket of cold water on them. 10 Directions Saint Clan. Reincarnation, Divine Eye, Monster Eye, Star, Abyss, Great Wilderness, Devour, Chaos, Dragon Blood. Only when the 10 great emperors gathered together could they summon the 10 heart beasts. I can temporarily control the Celestial Eye Saint Clan's heart beasts. Bai Qianyu said. Oh? Everyone's eyes lit up. Chu Hen also looked at his wife approvingly and said, I can summon the heart beasts of the Monster Eye Saint Clan and the Dragon Blood Saint Clan at the same time. The primeval monarch is grounded in the primeval Saint Clan and needs your permission to come out, said the Star Monarch. Although the primeval monarch stood on their side at the last moment during the Battle of the Six Paths World, he still had to bear the consequences of his previous crimes. However, it was also because of his final decision that the other great emperors decided to spare his life after some discussion. The price he had to bear was to be imprisoned in the primeval Saint Clan forever, unable to take a step out. Of course, if he had Chu Hen's permission, it would be a different story. Even if the primeval monarch is willing to come, there's still the reincarnation Saint clan. Star Monarch added. At the mention of the reincarnation Saint clan, everyone couldn't help but think of Cosmos God Guji. But when they thought of Cosmos God Guji, the atmosphere became much colder, especially Burning Sky Great Emperor, whose face was filled with a layer of frost. Are we going to release that bastard Cosmos God Guji? Everyone was speechless. However, Chu Hen took over and said, "It's not impossible." Heavenly Monarch? Everyone's expression changed. Although 10 years had passed, the terror of Cosmos God Guji still lingered in their hearts. However, Chu Hen didn't care at all. "Everyone, don't panic. Since I can send him into the abyss of chaos once, I can send him back a second time." After saying that, Chu Hen said to Star Monarch, "Star Monarch, please bring the primeval monarch here." This? Star Monarch glanced at Burning Sky Great Emperor and the others. Seeing that Chu Hen was so confident, he didn't say anything more. "Okay. Well, the rest of you wait here for a while. I'll go to the abyss of chaos." The moment he finished speaking, Chu Hen's eyes turned cold. In an instant, accompanied by an extremely strong rhythm of space, Chu Hen's body actually showed a dreamy distortion. Like a circle of broken shadows on the surface of the water, with a hua sound, Chu Hen suddenly disappeared in front of everyone. This sudden scene caused everyone to be astonished. He left just like that? The space crack didn't appear? Could it be that Chu Tiendi is already able to freely travel between the two great spatial boundaries? Astonishment filled everyone's faces. It should be known that even the primal chaos Heavenly Emperor couldn't enter the abyss of chaos at will. What level has Chu Tiendi's strength reached? In these 10 years, his cultivation has never stagnated? The devouring emperor said in a low voice. Apart from the shock, several great emperors secretly shook their heads. The current Chu Hen most likely surpassed the primal chaos Heavenly Emperor by more than a little. What a terrifying existence. It seems that we don't need to worry about Universe God Guji. Then, everyone on the rooftop quietly waited. About an hour later. A circle of water-like ripples appeared in the sky. Everyone's heart tightened. Shortly after, ripples spread out, and Chu Hen once again returned in front of everyone. Other than Chu Hen, there was also a figure in ragged clothes who cut a sorry figure behind him. Universe God Guji. Everyone's faces were subconsciously filled with vigilance. Universe God Guji's hair was disheveled, and he looked as thin as a match. His eye sockets were especially sunken and hollow like a skeleton. It was hard to believe that the reincarnation emperor, once the leader of the 10 clans, would one day end up like this. Laugh if you want. Isn't my current appearance what you've been hoping for? Universe God Guji's voice was abnormally hoarse. You only have yourself to blame. Burning Sky Emperor coldly rebuked. The devouring emperor raised his hand, indicating for him to stop talking. Universe God Guji, do you know why Chu Tiendi found you? Universe God Guji sneered, I know better than any of you. Everyone was stunned. Burning Sky Emperor took a step forward. You know about this cauldron? Why else do you think I kept you alive back then? You. Burning Sky Emperor was speechless. The great emperors and Mu Fei looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. It turned out that the reincarnation emperor had long known of the existence of the ancient cauldron. When he attacked the sky-burning Saint clan, he did not kill the sky-burning emperor and only sealed him. Perhaps it was because of the heart beast of the sky-burning Saint clan. Moreover, he mercilessly ordered the Dragonblood Emperor to kill him only because the Dragonblood Sacred Clan's heart beast was with Chu Hen. What a grand scheme! What a profound scheme! Universe God Guji was truly an extremely terrifying existence. Soon after, the Star Emperor and the Chaos Emperor also arrived at the Imperial Purple City. When the two saw the Reincarnation Emperor, they couldn't help but feel complicated. especially the Chaos Emperor. He looked at the Reincarnation Emperor, then at Chu Hen, then nodded, indicating that he already knew the whole story from the Star Emperor. Let's begin. Without much hesitation, Chu Hen directly announced the start of the summoning ceremony. Everyone had a serious look on their faces. Then, Chu Hen, by Qianyu, the Abyss Emperor, the Star Emperor, the Devouring Emperor, the Desolation Emperor, the Burning Sky Emperor, the Chaos Emperor, and the Reincarnation Emperor stood in 9 different directions of the ancient cauldron. Rumble, the winds and clouds of the 9 heavens suddenly changed, and the universe suddenly lost its color. In an instant, along with the monstrous momentum of 9 different auras, dazzling beams of light appeared in the dark sky. Mu Fei, Luo Menchang, Li Wushang, and the others all retreated to the border. Buzz, the 9 people's bodies simultaneously glowed with a dazzling light source. Next, thousands of rays of light sprinkled across the sky. One after another, mysterious ancient formations opened above Purple Imperial City like the gates of heaven. Roar! Roar! The winds and clouds were furious, and the sky changed color. Waves of domineering auras that emitted peerless ferocity filled the sky, enveloping the entire sky above the false realm. The next moment, everyone's bodies shone brightly, and they made hand seals at the same time. Star, star refining dragon bat. 9 nether, boundless ghost nether. Burning sky, splitting sky illuminating bull. Chaos, thunder ancestral lion. Devouring, heaven devouring Tao. Desolation, 8-headed desolation snake. Reincarnation, lion body. Gales roared across the celestial river, and huge shadows of beasts that were as huge as mountains appeared in the sky above Purple Court City. Then, 9 stars rotated in the depths of Bai Qianyu's eyes. Divine eyes, dual soul bird. Screech. A bird's cry filled the sky, and a colorful giant eagle directly tore the void and rose against the wind. The dual soul bird was similar to the legendary vermilion bird, but it had 2 heads and all 4 of its eyes had double pupils. At the same time, Chu Hen also put his palms together, and purple light flashed in his eyes. A majestic and peerless domineering aura gushed out, and the surrounding space was distorted and trembled. Demon eyes, ominous star 9-winged centipede. Dragon blood, darkness dragon. Roar! Roar! At this moment, the sky and earth were spinning, and the sky above the imperial Purple City was in a state of collapse. The 10 great heart beasts were all gathered here. Thousands of light wings covered the sky, and endless light sources were dazzling. Then, under countless shocked gazes, the ancient cauldron actually rose directly into the sky with a loud whoosh. Buzz, bursts of strong spatial fluctuations soared into the sky and earth. The ancient cauldron constantly grew, and in the blink of an eye, it had become thousands of feet long. The ancient beast patterns on the cauldron were fully activated. The 10 great heart beasts all danced around the ancient cauldron. Bang! Suddenly, at this moment, a majestic pillar of light broke out from the ancient cauldron. The world trembled, and the 9 heavens split. Under countless shocked gazes, the giant pillar directly pierced through the void, and then, a plain passage like the door of a god suddenly opened. Buzz, countless light sources sprinkled down from the passage, and a dreamlike sky curtain appeared in the sky above the imperial Purple City. That was a brand new world. It was an unfamiliar world. Everyone's face was filled with unconcealable emotions. Finally, the door to that world is open. I have been waiting for this day. The Reincarnation Emperor's hoarse voice was trembling. Looking at the plain passage that was like a universe tunnel, Chu Hen's eyes flashed with palpitating light. He clenched his fists, and his heart was filled with infinite hope. Father, Mother, I think I have found the way to find you. A world filled with blood. The Lord of all evil, the source of great calamity, gathered here. This was the place where billions of hybrid demons existed. God-forbidden blood prison. In an ancient desolate hall, The ground was covered with eerie white bones. Buzz, a pair of cold and dark black eyes suddenly opened, and that hideous face revealed a cold and creepy smile. Kiki, it seems that the door to that world has been opened. Let us meet again in another world. Chu Tiendi, God King Wuji's first season end. When I typed this word, I felt an indescribable complexity. There was loneliness. There was discomfort. There was also a sense of relaxation. It has been 4 years, God King Wuji owes everyone, and today he has finally repaid all of you. You have waited for a long time. I have also written for a long time. I am sorry. I am really sorry. I have written this book for 4 years. It has been tough on the readers who have been following the book until now. It has been tough on all of you. It has been tough on all of you. I believe that all of you are confused. Why is it the first season? Is there a second season? That is indeed the case. However, the second season will have a brand new setting, a brand new world, and a brand new story. However, I dare to guarantee that the content of the second season will be more than 10 times more interesting than the first. I have prepared for the new book for over a year. Be it the content or the world, it will be much bigger than the first season. Of course, the second season would start from another story. Then, in the later stages, it would connect with the content of Divine King Wuji's first season. That was probably the general pattern. I believe that there are many readers who didn't want to follow the second season because of my update. I can understand that, but that is my problem. Thus, I have basically filled in all the holes in the first season. In the end, I just dug a hole for the next season. It is not considered a bad ending. Of course, this is also the best I can do. The second season will probably focus on demons, and the specific content outlined still needs to be improved. There will be news about the release date of the new book in about a month. If you want to follow, you can add God King Wuji's Book Friends group. 149825000. The story has ended. The person who wrote the story is still here. In the next book, there will still be Chu Hen, Meng Shang, Qian Yu, the heretic god, and even more exciting stories. I am really thankful for everyone's support in the past 4 years. I love all of you 3,000 times. The following is the preview of the new book. The blood moon covered the sky and the crow cried. When spiritual energy filled the land, at the edge of darkness, demonic energy quietly revived. This is an era of demonic energy reviving. It is also a chaotic world where gods and demons fight. Twilight of the gods, dawn of the human world. It is better to pray to demons than to believe in the heavens. When I return, I will wash the gods with blood. Everyone, see you in the new book.